Introduction. Think and grow viral. You hit publish. Your cursor hovers over the refresh button while the first few views trickle in. Minutes pass. Hours pass. You know the piece is good. It is helpful. It is heartfelt. It is even a little clever. Still, it stalls. A handful of likes, 2 polite comments, and that familiar quiet that feels louder than any critique. Then you watch someone else post a simpler idea that races across your feed, tagged 100 times, remixed, quoted, and stitched into a dozen new conversations. You close the app, wondering what invisible force separated theirs from yours. If that feeling is familiar, you are not alone. It is not a lack of effort or talent that keeps so many ideas from spreading. It is the absence of a reliable playbook for making shareable ideas by design, instead of by accident. You are not seeking viral fame for vanity. You want your work to matter, to reach the people it can help, and to build a durable audience that grows your business, your career, or your cause. You want to stop guessing what will land. You want to understand what makes people share. You want to do it ethically, and you want a workflow that transforms one good idea into compounding momentum. The problem is not only creative, it is systemic. You bounce between platforms that reward different behaviors. You read conflicting advice. Post more, post less. Be authentic, be strategic. Hook harder, keep it simple. You learn a new tactic. It works once, then it fizzles. You commit to consistency, then get punished by inconsistency in reach. Your instinct says there must be a better way than guesswork and hope. Your calendar says you do not have time to reinvent the wheel with every post. There is also the quiet tax of status risk. You worry about being wrong or being misunderstood. You hesitate to ask for shares because you do not want to feel pushy. You avoid bold hooks because you fear clickbait, yet you know bland packaging is invisible. The modern creator faces a paradox. You need clarity and intrigue. You need velocity and values. You need a system that protects your reputation while increasing your odds of distribution. This matters more now than ever. The internet has compressed attention into the first 3 seconds. Platform algorithms rank and route content based on early signals that most creators never see. Searching and discovery now blend together. A single conversation can jump from TikTok to Instagram to YouTube to X in a day. More people are creating than at any time in history, which means your idea is competing not only with your peers, but with everything interesting. At the same time, tools have never been more accessible, and organic reach is still very real for ideas that align with human psychology and platform dynamics. The window has not closed, it has simply become selective. Think and Grow Viral gives you a path through the noise. It is a practical, ethical system for designing ideas that people want to share, packaging them so they are unskippable, and installing the mechanics that turn attention into growth. You will not rely on luck or gimmicks. You will learn why people share in the first place, how to architect concepts that earn the click and the repost, how to build growth loops that multiply reach, and how to capture the spike of attention so it compounds into subscribers, customers, and community. You do not need a studio or a team to benefit. The approach works for solo creators, small businesses, and marketing teams. It scales with your resources because it focuses on leverage. You will generate more effective angles before you ever hit record, reduce waste by testing hooks quickly, and distribute intelligently across platforms without feeling copy-pasted. The goal is not to win the lottery. The goal is to raise the probability of spread each time you publish and to turn the wins you do get into long-term assets. What makes this approach different is the way it integrates 4 disciplines into one clear workflow. First, behavioral science. You will learn the human drives that pull people to share, including identity, emotion, social currency, and practical value. Second, creative architecture. You will design hooks, angles, and story arcs that earn attention ethically and deliver real payoffs. Third, growth mechanics. You will measure and affect the viral coefficient, often called K-factor, by increasing invitations per viewer and the acceptance rate of those invites. Fourth, platform dynamics. You will package for TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and X with respect for each environment's signals and culture. Wrapped around all of this is an experimentation mindset and an ethical layer so that growth does not cost you trust. The system is built to be repeatable and calm. You will adopt a weekly rhythm of ideation, light testing, production, and review so each piece gets smarter than the last. You will see how to build an angle bank that lets you try multiple slants on one topic without burning weeks on production. You will work with minimum remarkable premises and minimum remarkable prototypes that validate your direction quickly. You will learn to read microsignals, such as 3-second holds and first screen drop-offs, so you can fix the right problem at the right time. And you will do it with integrity, balancing persuasion with responsibility, so your content helps people look good, feel something, and do something. Inside the playbook, the journey starts where viral spread truly begins, inside the mind of your audience. In the psychology of sharing, you will uncover why people pass ideas along. People share to say something about who they are, to gain social currency, to contribute useful tools, to reciprocate value, and to strengthen bonds. You will learn which emotions move ideas, and why high arousal states such as awe, anger, anxiety, and amusement increase the odds of sharing. You will also see the hidden brakes that stop sharing, like the fear of being wrong or offending others. Then you will learn how to reduce those risks with clarity, credibility signals, and expectation matching. You will design triggers, the cues in daily life that bring your idea to mind at the right moment, so your message travels farther without shouting. By the end of this chapter, you will know how to craft messages that align with identity, evoke the right emotion, and provide immediate utility. Next, designing contagious concepts turns psychology into creative craft. You will learn to produce angles, the distinct ways to frame a topic so it lands. You will sharpen your premises until they are minimum and remarkable, which means tight enough to be clear and interesting enough to be worth talking about. You will master the first 2 seconds with hooks that set tension and promise a credible payoff. You will use open loops, contrast, and specificity to hold attention. Then you will deliver payoffs that reward curiosity. You will balance novelty, which attracts attention, with relatability, which keeps people oriented. You will create and maintain an angle bank so you can test multiple positions around the same idea and quickly discover which one clicks. You will also learn how to pre-validate ideas with lightweight tests before you invest in full production. In viral mechanics, you move from storytelling to systems. You will demystify K-factor, the viral coefficient that predicts whether your content will grow on its own. You will learn the levers that influence it, such as how many invitations a viewer sends, how often those invitations are accepted, and whether new viewers take a meaningful next step. You will see how loops differ from funnels. Loops reuse outputs as future inputs so your reach compounds over time. You will remove friction from key moments, including sharing, tagging, stitching, duetting, and replying so more people participate. You will adopt a shareability score, a checklist that predicts spread before you publish, and you will embed short, value-forward calls to action that do not feel spammy. You will also align your loops with ethics, so your growth is sustainable in the eyes of your audience and the platforms. Platform Dynamics gives you a translator for each major arena. TikTok prioritizes short session performance and remix culture. YouTube blends search with suggested viewing and cares deeply about watch time and completion. Instagram rewards saves and shares that recirculate posts. X amplifies conversation density through replies, quotes, and network bridging. You will learn when to post, how to package, and which early signals matter most in each place. You will build titles and thumbnails that work for YouTube, hooks that stop the scroll on TikTok and Instagram, and first comment plays that spark threads on X. You will create modular assets so one idea can be adapted to multiple platforms without feeling like a clone. And you will build platform resilience by capturing audience through email and community so one algorithm change does not end your momentum. The Content Lab makes your workflow scientific without becoming cold. You will set a weekly sprint cadence that ships consistently and learns rapidly. You will write hypotheses, prioritize tests by potential impact and effort, and set stop rules so you know when to pivot. You will build minimum remarkable prototypes, quick versions that test hooks, angles, and packaging before you commit to the full piece. You will learn what to measure, such as the first 3 seconds, micro retention drops, packaging clicks, and comment themes. Then you will turn those signals into targeted iterations. You will adopt an idea capture system, keep a groomed backlog, and operate from a simple dashboard focused on a few decisive metrics. The output is predictable work, faster hit rates, and compounding knowledge that carries from one project to the next. Crafting irresistible hooks, headlines, and thumbnails is your masterclass in demand capture. You will use pattern interrupts that stop the scroll without resorting to gimmicks. You will write headlines that combine clarity with intrigue, promise with credibility, and specificity with brevity. You will learn to build title and thumbnail harmony so the text frames the claim and the image delivers emotional proof. You will surface stakes, contrast, and novelty in the very first screen. You will tailor your openings to each platform, and you will run A/B tests on hooks and packaging to lift click-through and early retention. All of this sits on an ethical backbone because expectation matching is the key to trust and long-term performance. Distribution and launch turns great content into great outcomes. You will choreograph a 72-hour launch window that sequences your channels to create momentum. You will publish your flagship piece, then roll out platform-specific cuts, email alerts, direct messages to warm partners, community seeding, and collaboration prompts that invite others to participate. You will learn content automation, so one flagship creates multiple native derivatives that reinforce the main message while meeting each platform's norms. You will time and tag without spamming. You will build an earned layer through mentions, quotes, and user-generated content, and an owned layer through newsletters and communities. Finally, you will build a relaunch playbook so you can refresh winners with seasonal angles, updated metadata, and added value. Spike to sustain helps you convert a burst of attention into lasting growth. You will design capture moments that turn viewers into subscribers and followers. You will align lead magnets with the promise that brought people in. Then you will onboard them with thoughtful sequences that build habit. You will create evergreen libraries and series that give people a reason to return. You will build a community flywheel where replies, remixes, and showcases generate ongoing distribution without burning you out. You will map content to product paths that monetize ethically, such as courses, software, or services, so your attention translates to revenue without eroding trust. And you will use cohort analysis and cadence planning to sustain quality while protecting your health. Risk, ethics, and reputation is your safeguard for longevity. You will create a pre-flight risk check that flags claims, tone, and possible misinterpretations before you publish. You will stress test hooks for unintended effects, and you will prepare escalation paths for community feedback. You will handle attribution and fair use when you remix. You will disclose affiliates and sponsors clearly. You will respect privacy in user stories. You will prepare a crisis response protocol, so if something sparks controversy, you can pause distribution, clarify intent, and course correct quickly. You will also build personal boundaries and recovery cycles, so you can keep creating at a high level without sacrificing your well-being. Along the way, you will get practical tools to speed your progress. You will find a viral launch checklist that guides you through validation, packaging, cross-platform sequencing, partner seeding, and post-launch diagnostics. There is a set of hook, headline, and thumbnail templates you can adapt to your voice. There is a cross-platform distribution guide that gives you signal priorities, posting cadences, and atomization patterns for TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and X. There is also an experiment tracker and K-factor worksheet that makes it easy to plan tests, score ideas, calculate your viral coefficient, and record learnings. Using this book for results. The fastest path to outcomes is simple. Read once to understand the full system. Read again with a single project in mind. Focus on shipping small and learning fast. Here is a practical way to move through the material. Clarify a specific audience outcome you want to improve, such as subscribers or qualified leads. Use the psychology chapter to list the identity, emotion, and utility drivers for your audience. Build an angle bank with 5 to 10 distinct premises around one topic. Select the top 2. Create minimum remarkable prototypes for those 2 angles. Test hooks and openings in lightweight formats. Pick one winner and produce a focused flagship piece. Package it with title and thumbnail harmony. Orchestrate a 72-hour launch. Atomize the flagship into native derivatives for your priority platforms. Measure microsignals in the first day, then make quick packaging or caption adjustments if needed. Conduct a weekly retro. Capture what worked, what did not, and one change to test next time. Treat each cycle as a chance to sharpen the system. Keep your dashboard small. Many metrics distract. Choose a few that matter, such as 3-second hold, completion rate, saves to shares ratio, click-through, and subscriptions or email signups during launch windows. Use the experiment tracker to plan and record tests. Use the checklist before each launch so you do not forget small details that have big effects. Use the templates to speed your hook writing, then evolve them to fit your voice and niche. Remember that ethical persuasion is a principle, not a constraint. Your content can inspire strong emotion without manipulation. You can ask people to share when the value is real. You can create curiosity without misleading. Your reputation is part of your growth engine. Treat it as an asset to be grown and protected. Respect each platform, but avoid dependency by building owned channels. Avoid hustle theater. Sustainable cadence beats frantic bursts. A calm, repeatable process will take you farther than sporadic brilliance. Your transformation awaits. Imagine the moment you press publish and feel unusually calm. You are not guessing. You know why your hook will stop the scroll. You know the emotional note you are striking and why it fits your audience's identity. Your title and thumbnail tell a 2-beat story. Your first comment invites a simple, valuable action. In the hours that follow, you watch shares climb in the places you designed them to happen. People tag colleagues because your idea makes them look insightful. Others save your post because there is a clear takeaway to apply today. Replies generate new angles you can turn into follow-ups. You are not hoping for lightning. You are building a weather system. Weeks later, your growth feels different. Your angle bank is full. Your workflows are clear. Your dashboard tells a story you can act on. You're orchestrating distribution, not spraying and praying. Partners reach out because your packaging and ethics make collaboration safe. When you hit a spike, your capture moments convert viewers into subscribers and buyers. When a piece underperforms, you know where to look and what to test next. You feel confident taking creative risks because you have guardrails that protect your audience and your brand. Most of all, you feel aligned with the reason you started. Your ideas are reaching people, they are doing something with them, and your business, career, or cause is growing as a result. Think and Grow Viral is not a magic trick. It is a mental model and a practical toolkit. It teaches you to think in terms of identity, emotion, and utility. It teaches you to design angles, hooks, and payoffs that move people. It teaches you to measure and build growth loops, to respect the signals and culture of each platform, to experiment with intent, to package like a pro, to distribute with momentum, to convert spikes into systems, and to protect your reputation as you grow. If you put it to work, you will not only increase your odds of virality, you will become the kind of creator whose ideas deserve to travel, whose presence people seek out, and whose impact compounds over time. Turn the page. Choose one audience outcome. Start building your angle bank. Draft 2 minimum remarkable prototypes. Run your first small test. The only thing standing between the work you have and the reach it deserves is a system. You are about to install it. The psychology of sharing. Why people spread ideas. The psychology of sharing. Why people spread ideas. Chapter Introduction. Every day, you scroll past hundreds of posts, headlines, and messages. Most get a flick of the thumb and disappear. A few make you pause. Even fewer make you tap share. That tiny decision to put your name behind an idea and send it into someone else's world is the key to going from interesting to viral. This chapter is about what makes people cross that bridge. You will learn why people share, not in abstract theory, but in everyday psychology. We will unpack the human drives behind spreading ideas, how your content can help people look good, feel something, and do something, and how to design ethical triggers that bring your message to mind at the right moment. Research on sharing has a clear pattern. High arousal emotions travel. Identity alignment increases resonance. Practical utility tips people into action. As Seth Godin put it, People do not buy goods and services. They buy relations, stories, and magic. Your job is to create content that offers those things in a way people are proud to pass along. By the end, you will have a framework and a step-by-step plan to build shareability into your ideas from the start. You will also see how to balance persuasion with responsibility, so your distribution grows in a way that builds trust and long-term advantage. The problem? Most creators and brands treat sharing as a happy accident. They polish a message, throw it into the world, then hope it spreads. When it does not, they conclude it was not good enough. The real problem is simpler and more solvable. Content can be interesting and still not pass the sharing threshold. People hesitate to share when the content does not help them signal identity, when it does not evoke the right feeling, when it lacks immediate utility, or when the perceived risk is too high. Add friction or poor timing, and even excellent ideas stall. There is another gap. Many teams optimize for clicks and views, not for shares and referrals. They design for passive consumption, not active propagation. The result is content that is watched, then forgotten. If you want growth that compounds, you need to understand the psychology of the person who is about to put their name on your idea. What status move are they making by sharing this? What emotion are they amplifying? What will their friend do with it? If you cannot answer those questions, you are leaving your reach to luck. The solution framework. To turn intention into shareable design, use the Share Map. It is a practical framework that turns the psychology of sharing into decisions you can make before you hit publish. S. Status and identity signaling. People share to say something about who they are. They want to look informed, insightful, generous, or funny. Content that aligns with their identity and helps them signal the right status travels farther. H. High arousal emotion. A. Anger, anxiety, and amusement increase the likelihood of sharing. Sadness and calm reduce it unless paired with strong identity or utility. The feeling you evoke is not a side effect. It is the fuel. A. Actionable utility. People share when it helps someone do something right now. Clear, simple, and immediate utility increases the impulse to pass it along. If it can be used today, it can be shared today. R. Risk reduction and reciprocity. Sharing carries social risk. People do not want to be wrong, dull, or offensive. Credibility signals, clarity, and reciprocity reduce that risk. Give people something of value, and many will feel happy to give back by sharing. E. Environment and triggers. Context and timing matter. A cue in the environment can prompt recall and sharing at the right moment. Design triggers that bring your content top of mind when it is relevant in someone's day. This map integrates identity, emotion, utility, safety, and context into one planning tool. It also embeds an ethical stance. We designed for user benefit first. We avoid manipulation. That choice is not only right, it is also smart. Trust compounds, and so does distribution. Deep dive. Status and identity signaling. Imagine two posts about the same topic. One says, "The 4 Habits of Effective Learners." The other says, "How top performers learn twice as fast." The second version lets a person signal that they care about excellence. They can share it to affirm their identity as a top performer or someone who strives to be one. People ask, does sharing this help me look like the kind of person I want to be in this group? That group might be coworkers, a hobby community, or family. You increase your odds when your message maps to an identity your audience wants to project. Practical example, sustainability fans share posts that let them look mindful and proactive, like a checklist for making a kitchen plastic-free in one weekend. High arousal emotion. A study of the New York Times most emailed list found that articles evoking awe, anger, and anxiety were more likely to be shared, while sadness reduced sharing unless balanced with usefulness or identity relevance. Think about the feelings you evoke. Awe can come from surprising facts, beautiful visuals, or clever insight. Anger and anxiety are powerful, but use them responsibly. If you highlight a problem, pair it with agency. Amusement is safer and travels well, especially when the joke is kind. Inclusive. If you cannot charge an emotion, expect low sharing, even if the information is solid. Actionable utility. Practical value is a sharing engine. Here is a 2-sentence email to get honest feedback, spreads because anyone can use it now. Copy this caption to ask for referrals without feeling salesy, spreads because it saves time and reduces social friction. The more your advice is clear, specific, and immediately usable, the higher the odds someone will pass it on to help a friend. Recipes, templates, scripts, checklists, and calculators are classic utility vehicles. If you can take a general insight and compress it into a one-page tool, you transform it into something people naturally share. Risk reduction and reciprocity. People hesitate to share when they feel being wrong, wasting their friend's time, or hurting someone's feelings. You can reduce these risks with credibility signals, like clear sources, social proof, or a quick origin story. Use plain language. Avoid loaded claims. If your content could be misinterpreted, include a line that anchors intent, such as, "Use this to start a thoughtful conversation with your team." Reciprocity matters too. When you give something useful, many will feel good about returning the favor through a share, a comment, or a referral. The tone matters. An ask like, "If this helped you, pass it to one person who would love it," performs better than "please like and share." Environment and triggers. Sharing is not only about content, it is about moments. Design cues that make your message come to mind when the relevant situation appears. An example, a coffee brand that posts a delightful 2-minute playlist for Monday mornings. Every Monday becomes a trigger. A personal finance creator who ends a post with, "Screenshot this and check your subscriptions on the 1st of the month." The 1st of the month becomes a trigger. Even a phrase can become a cue. When people see subject line, they might recall your 5 subject lines that double replies post and share it with a colleague drafting an email. Triggers turn your content into a habit of recall. The interplay of these elements is where compounding happens. Identity plus emotion gets attention. Utility gives permission to share. Risk reduction clears the social path. Triggers create ongoing opportunities. You do not need to maximize every factor for every piece. You do need to be intentional about which levers you pull. Implementation strategy. This step-by-step plan to apply the share map to any piece of content. 1. Define the who. Write 1 to 2 sentences about your target sharer. What identities do they care about, such as mentor, newbie, creator, scientist, parent? What groups do they belong to? What do they want to signal? 2. Choose the feeling. Pick one high arousal emotion to prioritize: awe, anger, anxiety, or amusement. Decide how you will ethically evoke it. For awe, include a surprising fact or elegant insight. For amusement, add a kind twist. For anger or anxiety, be precise about the issue and pair it with agency. 3. Package the utility. Turn your idea into something someone can use today. Write a 3-step checklist, a 1-sentence script, or a single-page template. Make it scannable, concrete, and immediately relevant. 4. Craft the status move. Write a sample share caption that lets the sharer signal who they are. For example, "Keeping my team sharp. We are using this 10-minute debrief script after every meeting." Or, "Bookmarking this for my new manager friends." 5. Reduce the risk. Add credibility signals. Include a reference to a source, a quick case, or a client quote. Clarify intent. Avoid absolute claims. Offer a gentle, single-person ask. For example, "If this saves you time, pass it to one colleague." 6. Build triggers. Tie your content to a moment. Use phrases like "on Mondays," "on the 1st of the month," "before you hit send," "when you open your calendar," or "right after your workout." Add a prompt that cues recall. 7. Design the ask. Close with a specific, light call to action. Suggest a role. For example, "Send this to the friend who always organizes dinners," or "Share this with someone building their portfolio this week." 8. Lower the friction. Place one-click share buttons. Provide a copyable caption or a script. Use open graph images that render well in messaging apps. Keep file sizes small. 9. Measure and iterate. Track share rate, the percentage of viewers who share. Track save rate, referral signups, and click-throughs from shared links. Split test headlines, images, and the utility format. Keep what raises share per view. Here are 2 plug-and-play share prompts you can adapt. If this made your life easier, pass it to one person who will thank you next Friday. Know someone who is stuck on this. Send them this checklist with a note that says, "Start at step 1." Real-world application. The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge offers a clear illustration of the share map in action. It spread across social platforms and raised more than $100 million in a single summer. Status and identity were front and center. People could signal generosity and community spirit. High arousal emotion came from the playful shock of cold water and the joy of participating. Utility was simple, a script anyone could follow. Record a short clip, donate, nominate 3 friends. Risk was reduced because it was endorsed by many credible participants and framed as a shared cause. The environment and trigger were built into the mechanic. You were nominated by a friend, which created a social deadline. It was hard to ignore that nudge in your notifications. Dropbox provides another useful case. They embedded reciprocity and utility at the core of their referral program. You invite a friend, they get free storage, and you get free storage. The value is immediate and clear. Risk is low because the product is free to try and the invite comes from a trusted contact. The environment does the reminding. When you run low on storage, the referral option appears as a helpful fix. Even without flashy content, the psychology of sharing did the heavy lifting. Consider a composite example from solo creators. Several indie app makers grew their early user base by posting short videos that combined identity, emotion, and utility. A typical post might say, "I built a tiny tool that turns your messy notes into a clean agenda in 10 seconds. Here is the 3-step process." The feeling is amusement, a tiny wow when the messy text becomes tidy. The status signal is builder energy and helpfulness. The utility is immediate, a template linked in the comments. Risk is reduced by a quick screen recording and a short testimonial. The trigger is a phrase like, "Use this before your next one-on-one." That line makes the post pop to mind every time a pre-meeting reminder appears. Common pitfalls. Chasing clicks instead of shares. Curiosity bait gets views but rarely earns a share if it lacks identity, emotion, or utility. Evoking fear without agency. Anxiety can drive attention, but without a clear path to act, people will not share because it feels unhelpful or cruel. Confusing or overstuffed utility. A complex 10-step guide is less shareable than a clear 3-step starter. Complexity raises friction. Ignoring social risk. If your content puts a person's status at risk, they will not share it. Add credibility and clarify tone. Missing the moment. Great ideas posted at the wrong time or without a trigger are rarely recalled. Tie your message to cues and routines. Over-asking. Please share, like, comment, subscribe, forward, and tag 5 friends feels needy and reduces response. Make one light ask. Misaligned identity. If the content clashes with how your audience sees themselves, it will not travel, even if it is interesting. Key takeaways. People share to signal identity, gain social currency, and strengthen bonds. High arousal emotions like awe, anger, anxiety, and amusement increase share likelihood. Practical utility, especially clear, immediate, and simple tools, multiplies sharing. Perceived social risk blocks sharing. Reduce it with credibility signals and clarity. Reciprocity works. Give genuine value, and people are happy to pass it on. T-riggers matter. Tie your message to moments and cues in the environment. Design for shares, not only for clicks. Optimize share per view and referral rates. Ethical persuasion builds trust and long-term distribution. Action items. Write a sharer profile. Describe your ideal sharer, the identities they value, and the groups they belong to. Pick one emotion. Choose a primary high arousal emotion for your next piece and outline how you will spark it ethically. Create a utility asset. Turn your idea into a template, checklist, script, or calculator that can be used today. Draft a share caption. Write a caption a proud sharer would use. Include a light signal of identity and a simple ask. Add credibility. Insert one proof point, source, or testimonial that reduces social risk. Design a trigger. Tie your content to a specific moment, such as Mondays, first of the month, before a meeting, or after a workout. Remove friction. Add one-click share buttons, a copyable caption, and an open graph image that renders well in messaging apps. Set metrics. Track share rate, save rate, and referrals. Run a split test on headline or utility format within 2 weeks. Sharing is not a mysterious blessing reserved for a lucky few. It is a predictable result of aligning identity, emotion, utility, safety, and context. When you help people look good, feel something, and do something, they will put their name on your idea and carry it forward. This chapter gave you the psychology and a practical map. In the next chapter, you will translate these principles into creative execution. You will learn how to design contagious concepts with hooks, angles, and story arcs that win attention in the first seconds and hold it until the payoff. With the psychology of sharing in hand, you are ready to architect ideas that people cannot help but spread. Designing contagious concepts, hooks, angles, and story arcs. Chapter Introduction. You can feel it in the first 2 seconds. Something clicks, your attention sharpens, and you lean in. That sensation is not an accident. It is the product of a well-designed hook, a sharp angle, and a story arc that promises a meaningful payoff. Building on what we covered in the psychology of sharing, this chapter turns those human drives into execution tools you can apply today. You will learn how to architect concepts that earn attention and sustain it, then turn curiosity into action. We will create angles that reposition the same topic in dramatically different ways, design hooks that make ideas unignorable, and build arcs that deliver satisfying payoffs. The goal is ethical persuasion and narrative clarity. You will help your audience look good, feel something, and do something, while you build an angle bank that multiplies throughput without multiplying production time. The problem most creators and teams try to win with polish, only to lose in the first 2 seconds. The issue is not camera quality or editing speed, it is concept quality. Weak hooks drop attention. Vague premises confuse people. Meandering arcs waste time. Payoffs that do not deliver erode trust. When a piece fails to spread, the root cause is often upstream. The idea was not architected for sharing. There are common traps. You pour hours into a topic without deciding the angle, so your hook tries to be everything and becomes nothing. You choose a premise that is too familiar, so curiosity never spikes. Or you go too weird, so people do not know how to relate. You cram facts into the middle, then ask for shares at the end, but there is no compelling reason to pass it along. Without process, success feels random. You need a repeatable way to design contagious concepts before you hit record. The solution framework. Think in layers. The framework contains 7 parts that stack cleanly. Hook. Win the first 2 seconds by creating tension and promising a clear payoff. Angle bank. Generate multiple slants on one topic and select the strongest position to match your audience. Novelty relatability dial. Adjust the mix so your idea is fresh enough to excite and familiar enough to be understood. Minimum remarkable premise. Define the smallest version of your idea that is genuinely worth talking about. Story arc. Build an open loop, escalate stakes with contrast and specificity, then close the loop with an earned payoff. Outcome design. Tie the payoff to a simple action such as share, save, try, reply, or subscribe. Pre-validation. Test your premise and hook with lightweight experiments before you invest in full production. This framework helps you iterate positioning faster than production. Angles are leverage. You can find the narrative that clicks without changing the topic. Then you produce with confidence because you already know your premise resonates. As you apply this, remember the principle from earlier. Novelty attracts, relatability anchors. The sweet spot maximizes curiosity without confusion. Deep dive hook anatomy. The hook is a micro promise. It has 5 parts that can fit into 1 sentence or a short visual. Pattern interrupt. Break expectations with a surprising move, question, or visual contrast. Relevance anchor. Connect quickly to a problem your audience cares about or a status they want to signal. Specific payoff hint. Name the outcome you will deliver and make it concrete. Time constraint. Implies speed or efficiency. You will show this quickly. Credibility cue. Offer a tiny proof point such as a result, a credential, or a preview. Example. I tried the most copied productivity trick for 1 week and my email dropped by half. Here is what actually worked. This interrupts, anchors to an email pain point, hints at a payoff, implies a short breakdown, and signals credibility with a result. Angle bank. An angle is the lens you choose. It turns one topic into many stories. For a topic like healthy meals, consider 6 different angles. Contrarian angle. Stop meal prepping. Do this instead. Constraint angle. Only 5 ingredients, 5 minutes, full week. Context angle. Hotel room meals you can make with a coffee maker. Origin story angle. The chef who lost 30 pounds by eating pasta. Myth bust angle. The 3 healthy foods that spiked my blood sugar. Challenge angle. I ate on $10 a day for a month. Here is the plan. Each angle targets different identity signals and utilities, which map to sharing triggers. Building an angle bank means you list angle templates across your niche, then use them to spin each topic into multiple versions. You choose the best angle for your audience and platform. This increases hit rate without changing the core expertise you have. Novelty, relatability, dial. Imagine a 2x2 grid. Novelty on one axis, relatability on the other. The bottom left is boring and confusing. The top left is weird, no anchor. The bottom right is safe, no spark. The top right is the sweet spot. Use the dial to ask 3 questions. What is fresh here that my audience has not seen? What identity or utility anchors can I add to stabilize the novel parts? What is familiar enough that they will understand quickly? If your hook feels too safe, add a counterintuitive claim or an unusual constraint. If it feels too weird, add a relatable context, such as a workplace, a morning routine, or a common tool. The dial keeps your concept accessible and exciting. Minimum remarkable premise. This is the smallest version of your idea that a friend would repeat word for word because it is that useful or surprising. It must be specific. Productivity. Tips is not remarkable. The 3-sentence rule that cut my team's meetings in half is: use 3 tests. 1 breath test. Can you say it in 1 breath without losing clarity? Stranger test. Would a stranger repeat it to another stranger after hearing it once? Mirror test. Does it feel true to your experience and values so it will not break trust? Open loops. Contrast and specificity. Open loops create curiosity by posing a meaningful question or presenting an incomplete puzzle. Contrast raises attention density by showing differences. Specificity makes the story credible. Combine them. Example arc. Open loop. I baked bread without a recipe. Will it rise? Contrast. Show flour everywhere, then a clean table with precise measurements. Show a messy attempt, then a careful technique. Specificity. Name the temperature, the rise time, the texture you are aiming for. People remember repeatable details. Payoffs and outcome design. Curiosity without closure frustrates. The payoff must resolve tension and point to action. Make the outcome immediate and simple. Tie it to human drives discussed earlier. Examples. Share. Send this to someone who needs a 5-minute meal tonight. Save. Save this checklist for the next time you set up a camera. Try. Try the 1-minute breathing reset now, then tell me how it felt. Reply. Comment with your favorite myth about sleep. Subscribe. If you want one practical system like this every week, subscribe. Payoff should feel earned. It is a fair trade for the attention you received. Implementation strategy. Step 1. Gather raw topics list. 10 topics you can speak on with depth. Use categories, problems, or stories from your audience. Keep it grounded in your expertise. Step 2. Generate angles. For each topic, apply 5 to 7 angle templates. Use contrarian, constraint, context, origin story, myth bust, challenge, and how-to. Write 1 sentence for each angle. This is your angle bank. Step 3. Score with the dial. Rate each angle on novelty and relatability from 1 to 5. Add identity fit and utility score. Shortlist the top 2 angles per topic. Discard angles that score low across the board. Step 4. Craft the hook. Write 3 hook variations for each shortlisted angle. Use the 5-part hook anatomy. Read them aloud. Look for tension and clarity. Keep the payoff hint explicit. Step 5. Outline the arc. Plan beats. Open loop, context setup, first attempt or reveal, contrast escalation, micro result, the insight, clear payoff, outcome ask. Write 1 sentence for each beat. Add what you will show or say and what detail makes it specific. Step 6. Script and visuals. Draft the words and choose supporting visuals. Use cuts that reinforce contrast, inserts that deliver specificity, and pacing that preserves the open loop. Remove anything that does not move the story forward. Step 7. Pre-validate. Test your hook and premise cheaply. Post the hook as a text note or a short poll. Pitch the premise to 5 people and ask them to repeat it back. Share the thumbnail and title to 3 communities and watch replies. Track which variation gets the fastest comprehension and most excited responses. Step 8. Produce lean. Make the piece that won pre-validation. Keep runtime tight. Deliver the payoff and outcome clearly. Publish. Step 9. Track and iterate. Measure attention density by watching drop-off points. Note comments that repeat your premise. Compare save to share ratios. Use this data to refine your angle bank. Retire angles that underperform. Keep learning. Real-world application. Case 1. The Budget Chef. A creator wanted to teach frugal cooking. They had been posting generic recipe videos with low engagement. They built an angle bank for feeding 4 people on a small budget. Contrarian. Stop buying cheap snacks, they cost you more. Constraint. 7 dinners on $25. Context. College dorm meals with only a microwave. Challenge. 1 week, no grocery store, pantry only. They pre-validated hooks by posting text prompts and running polls. The constraint angle won easily. They produced a tight arc with an open loop about breaking the budget, contrast between common expensive items and smarter swaps, and specific item prices. The payoff was a printable list, and the outcome ask was a save and share. Comments repeated the premise. Save to share was strong, and the piece seeded a new series. Case 2. The B2B Founder. A software founder wanted more LinkedIn reach. Their posts were abstract. They built angles for unblocking team communication. Origin story. The 1 email that almost sank our launch. Myth bust. The 3 words that make meetings longer. Constraint. 2 rules for daily stand-ups that actually end on time. They tested hooks by sharing 1-line versions with peers. The constraint angle resonated most. Their arc opened with a tension-filled moment in a call, contrasted old behavior versus new rules, and delivered specific phrases to copy. The payoff was a downloadable 2-rule card. The outcome ask was to try the rules and reply. The post produced thoughtful comments and referrals to a workshop. The founder now had a repeatable approach for future topics. Case 3. The Wellness Coach. A coach focused on sleep. Previous posts were educational but not contagious. They rebuilt their concept pipeline. Contrarian. Stop T-racking sleep. Context. The 4-minute office reset that helps you sleep better. Challenge. 7 nights without coffee after 2. Pre-validation showed the context angle won. The hook promised a 4-minute reset with the result. The arc showed an open loop about late afternoon energy dips, contrast between scrolling and the reset, and specific steps with timing cues. The payoff was a calming effect demonstrated live. The outcome asked was to try it and report back. Replies were rich, and the piece earned shares from office culture communities. Common pitfalls. Hook without payoff. Curiosity bait that does not deliver erodes trust. Always earn the ask. Too complex premise. If you need 3 minutes to explain the premise, it is not minimum. Simplify. Overproduction before positioning. Do not spend hours editing a weak angle. Iterate angles first. Identity mismatch. Borrowed contrarian takes that do not fit your values will alienate your audience. Stay congruent. Vague specificity. Saying a lot or some weakens the story. Use concrete numbers, steps, and names of tools. Stale hooks. Repeating the same hook structure across posts dulls impact. Rotate hook types. Ignoring pre-validation. Publishing without testing wastes effort. Test small, learn fast. Chasing novelty alone. Weird without anchors confuses. Balance with relatability. Key takeaways. Strong concepts start with a sharp premise and a hook that resolves tension with an earned payoff. Angles are leverage. Iterate positioning faster than production to find what clicks. The novelty relatability dial helps you balance excitement and clarity. The minimum remarkable premise must be repeatable in one breath and worth repeating. Open loops, contrast, and specificity increase attention density and memory. Design outcomes early. Share, save, try, reply, and subscribe are different asks with different triggers. Pre-validation protects resources and increases hit rate. Ethical persuasion means helping people look good, feel something, and do something they value. Action items list 10 raw topics you can teach or demonstrate this month. Create 5 angle variations for each topic and store them in your angle bank. Score angles with the novelty relatability dial and shortlist the top 2 pit topic. Write 3 hook variations for each shortlisted angle using the 5-part anatomy. Outline the story arc beats for the winning hook, then add contrast and specificity details. Pre-validate the hook and premise with quick polls, text posts, and live pitches to 5 people. Produce 1 lean piece from the winning variation and publish within 7 days. Track attention density and save to share ratios, then note which comments repeat your premise. Retire 1 weak angle and add 2 new angles to your bank every week. Schedule a monthly review to refine your hooks, arcs, and outcome asks. Chapter conclusion. You now have a practical system for transforming psychology into execution. When you architect concepts thoughtfully, you win the first 2 seconds. Hold attention with structure and convert curiosity into meaningful action. You have tools to balance novelty with relatability, to define minimum remarkable premises, and to pre-validate ideas before you invest. As you apply this, your hit rate will rise and your process will get calmer because you are iterating upstream where leverage lives. In the next chapter, we will explore viral mechanics, growth loops, K-factor, and shareability. You will see how to turn strong content into a self-propelled engine by designing loops, measuring propagation, and embedding friction-reducing asks. Combine the creative architecture you built here with the mechanical design you will learn next, and you will be able to think and grow viral with integrity and repeatability. Viral mechanics, growth loops, K-factor, and shareability. Viral mechanics, growth loops, K-factor, and shareability. Chapter Introduction. In the last chapter, you built contagious ideas with hooks, angles, and stories that people want to share. Now it is time to turn that creative spark into a repeatable engine. This chapter focuses on the math and mechanics that move you from viral moments to viral systems. You will learn the levers that make content spread predictably and how to design for compounding distribution rather than one-time spikes. Think and Grow Viral is not about hoping something catches fire. It is about understanding why growth compounds and how to engineer it ethically. You will unpack the K-factor, the difference between funnels and loops, the friction points that break share chains, and a quantitative shareability score. By the end, you will know how to instrument your content, find leverage, and build loops that reward your audience as much as they reward you. The problem. Most creators and brands treat virality like lightning. They chase trends, pour time into a single piece, then watch the graph spike and flatten. The problem is not a lack of creativity. The problem is a lack of compounding mechanics. Without loops, each new piece starts from zero. Without a working K-factor, every viewer is a dead end. Another issue is friction. People often like your content but do not know what to do next. They are unsure who to share it with, why it matters, or how to pass it on. Even small bits of confusion at the share moment can crush spread potential. Add to that the common fear of pushy calls to action, and you get timid asks that never move anyone. Finally, there is a data problem. You cannot improve what you cannot see. If you do not track saves, replies that spawn replies, or conversion after shares, you are guessing. Guessing leads to random acts of marketing, not a growth engine. You need a simple, ethical framework that turns attention into distribution and distribution into durable audience. The solution framework. The solution is a system you can measure and improve. It has 4 parts. K-factor engineering. Your viral coefficient is the average number of new users generated by each existing user. It is the product of 3 inputs: invitations per user, acceptance rate, and activation rate. If each person reliably brings in more than 1 new person, your audience grows without additional spend. If not, you need to improve 1 or more inputs until you do. Growth loops, not funnels. Funnels push people down a path and end at a conversion. Loops route outcomes back into the top of the system. A loop turns engagement into new reach. Saves, shares, stitches, duets, and comment threads are all opportunities to create loops. Loops compound because today's output becomes tomorrow's input. Shareability score. Before you publish, you score each piece on a predictive checklist. The score covers clarity of value, emotional punch, social utility, friction at the share moment, and the quality of the ask. This gives you a fast, consistent way to choose and improve pieces with the highest probability of spread. Ethical guardrails. Sustainable virality creates mutual value. You will avoid manipulative tactics and design asks that help your audience look good, help a friend, or solve a problem. Ethical loops protect your reputation and maintain platform goodwill. Deep dive. Let us start with the K factor. K is the average number of additional people each person brings in. You can break K into 3 pieces. First, invitations per user, how many times a person exposes someone else to your content or product. Second, conversion rate, the percentage of those exposures that lead the recipient to open or view. Third, activation, the percentage of converters who become active users and can invite others. In plain terms, K equals invites times conversion times activation. If you have 1.5 invites per user, a 20% conversion rate, and a 40% activation rate, K equals 0.12. That is far below 1, so growth decays. If you can nudge invites from 1.5 to 3, improve conversion to 30%, and activate 50%, K equals 0.45. Progress, but still not enough. Push invites to 5, conversion to 35%, and activation to 60%, and K equals 1.05. Now each person creates a little more than 1 new person. Growth compounds. Every input has specific levers. Invitations per user increase when you give clear, easy reasons to share and reduce steps. Recipient conversion improves when the shared artifact has immediate context and compelling preview. Activation rises when the first session is delightful and the next step is obvious. Now consider loops versus funnels. The classic funnel is awareness to interest to decision to action. That model assumes the journey ends. A loop asks a different question. How does this action, for example, saving a post, create a new opportunity to bring in more people or bring the same person back? For example, a carousel that people save generates a save to share ratio. A higher ratio signals content worth discussing, which prompts the algorithm to distribute it to more relevant viewers. If you respond to the top comment with a follow-up post, you create a reply loop that brings the top commenters and their followers back, which increases the velocity of discussion. Loops show up in platform features. On TikTok, stitches and duets are reply loops. On Instagram, story reshares into group chats are invite loops. On YouTube, pinned comments and community posts are reply and return loops. When you design with loops in mind, you build assets that feed each other. Friction at the share moment often makes or breaks spread. There are 3 kinds. Mechanical friction is the number of steps or clicks to share. Cognitive friction is the mental effort to explain why the recipient should care. Social friction is the reputational risk the sharer feels. Reduce mechanical friction with native share buttons and one-tap templates. Reduce cognitive friction with a 1-sentence context baked into the asset, for example, a caption that says who will benefit. Reduce social friction by helping the sharer look helpful or clever, not spammy. A shareability score gives you a stable decision tool. Score each piece from 0 to 5 on the following factors. Specific utility. Does it help a defined person do a defined thing right now? Emotional charge. Does it spark surprise, delight, anger, or away without being manipulative? Identity boost. Will sharing this make the sharer look insightful, kind, or funny? Clarity at a glance. Can someone understand the value in 1 to 2 seconds? Ease of share. Is there a native button, a template, or a script to pass it on? Timely tie-in. Does it connect to something people are already thinking about? Ask quality. Is there a short, value-first call to action that feels natural? Pieces that score 24 or above out of 35 deserve priority. Every zero you fix before publishing saves you from a flat line after. Retention curves and save-to-share ratio are hidden accelerants. Retention curves tell you what percentage of viewers remain at each moment in your content. A flat curve is rare and great. More often, you see drop-offs. If you stabilize the first 3 seconds, the algorithm sees a higher completion rate, which unlocks more distribution. The save-to-share ratio tells you if people value the piece for themselves or think it is useful for others. Both are good, but the balance guides your loop design. High saves with low shares suggest a future follow-up that makes sharing safer or easier. Community replies multiply reach. When you respond to comments with useful context, you not only strengthen relationships, you create fresh content that inherits the original momentum. On platforms that surface replies to followers, your conversation becomes a public engine. Ask questions that invite specific responses, and reward quality comments with attention. The community will do part of the distribution for you. Finally, ethics are not decoration. Avoid false urgency, hidden bait, or tricks that trap attention. Design loops that give more than they take. When your audience sees that clicking, sharing, or inviting leads to real benefit for them and their friends, you get compounding goodwill along with compounding reach. Implementation strategy. Use this step-by-step plan to apply the mechanics. Instrument your baseline. Track views, shares, saves, comments, replies to comments, stitches or duets, and click-throughs on any call to action. Add UTM tags or unique links for share prompts that point to landing pages or follow actions so you can measure conversion and activation. Calculate your KF factor weekly. For each piece, estimate average invitations per user, conversion rate on those invitations, and activation rate of converters. Start with simple proxies. Invitations per user can be total shares divided by total unique viewers. Conversion can be clicks per share, and activation can be follows or signups per click. Map friction. Watch a friend or collaborator try to share your content. Note every hesitation. Count the steps. Record where they struggle to explain the value to a recipient. Remove or reduce each point of friction in your next iteration. Design short, value-first asks. Replace generic requests with specific prompts. For example, say, send this to one friend who needs a 2-minute explanation of X. Or say, reply with the one mistake you see most often so I can compile the top 5 for everyone. Build a reply system. Choose 2 comments to reply to within the first hour. Turn those replies into mini posts or stories. Thank the commenter and add one useful piece that expands the original. This creates a predictable reply loop. Create templates for sharing. Provide one-tap captions or swipeable graphics that make the sharer look good. In description copy, include a one-sentence frame. For example, for the friend launching a side project this month. Run focused sprints. For 2 weeks, focus only on increasing invitations per user. Test different prompts and template styles. For the next 2 weeks, focus on conversion by improving previews and landing page clarity. Then focus on activation by improving the first session experience. Cycle through these sprints until K crosses 1. Review retention curves. Improve the first 3 seconds with stronger visual cues, faster intros, or direct benefits stated up front. Rework drop-off moments. Keep the core promise front and center. Set ethical guardrails. Write your standards. For example, no hidden ads, no fake scarcity, and always align the ask with audience benefit. Share these guardrails with your team. Real-world application case 1, the fitness coach. A coach on short video platforms had high views but inconsistent growth. Baseline K was 0.36. Invitations per user were low because her asks were vague. She tested a prompt, "Send this to your workout partner if you want a 2-move finisher tonight." She added a 1-sentence frame in the caption that named who would benefit. Invitations per user rose from 1.2 to 2.7. She then improved conversion by adding an auto caption that explained the finisher in 3 words, which raised clicks per share from 18% to 29%. Activation improved when her landing page auto-played a 30-second routine and a calendar to commit to 1 session. K climbed to 0.95, then 1.08. Growth stabilized and compounded. She kept the asks value first and churn stayed low. Case 2, the SaaS waitlist. A small startup asked users to invite friends to a waitlist. Initial K was 0.22. They mapped friction and found that the invitation email lacked a clear benefit and the landing page was dense. They replaced the email with a template that said, "I am using this to remove 2 hours of manual logging each week. It might help you too." The landing page moved a customer quote to the top and showed a 10-second demo. Conversion doubled from 12% to 24%. They added a reply loop by promising to build the most requested feature from comments and spotlight the requester. Activation of converters rose from 35% to 55%. K reached 0.72, then 0.96. A better onboarding tour and a 1-click import pushed it to 1.12. Case 3, the nonprofit campaign. A nonprofit wanted shares but feared being pushy. Their shareability score revealed a weak ask and high social friction. They reframed the ask to highlight the sharer, not the organization. The prompt became, "Share this with one person who would love to know their gift will fund one student for 1 month." They added a 1-line script that made the sharer look thoughtful. Invitations per donor increased. They used a save to share analysis and spotted the donors preferred saving the impact stories rather than sharing them. They converted those stories into 2-panel graphics with a clear who and why, which increased shares without guilt. K crossed 1 during the campaign window, and the audience retained because the asks felt respectful. Common pitfalls. Chasing K by any means. It is easy to inflate invites with clickbait. Short-term spikes lead to long-term distrust. Measure unsubscribes and negative feedback along with K. Overstuffing the ask. Multiple requests confuse people. One simple ask that fits the moment beats 3 medium ones. Ignoring activation. Shares without a good first experience waste opportunity. The landing or follow moment must deliver immediate value. Copying without context. What works on one platform may flop on another. In the next chapter, we will align mechanics with platform norms. Measuring vanity metrics only. Views are not new users. Track the chain from share to convert to activate. Leaving friction untouched. If you do not redesign the share moment, everything else is marginal. Forgetting community replies. Your comments are content. Treat replies as an extension of the piece. Ethical blind spots. Pressure tactics may raise K for a week and hurt you for a year. Write and follow guardrails. Key takeaways. K factor is the product of invitations per user, conversion rate, and activation rate. Improve each input deliberately. Growth loops turn outcomes into new inputs. Replies, saves, and reshares are loop fuel. Friction at the share moment matters more than clever copy. Reduce steps, explain who should care, and make the sharer look good. A shareability score helps you prioritize pieces before they go live. Retention curves and save-to-share ratio reveal hidden opportunities to boost velocity. Community replies are not a chore, they are an engine. Respond with value and spawn new reach. Ethics are a growth strategy. Value-first asks sustain audience trust and platform favor. Small numerical lifts compound. Move invites, conversion, and activation a little, and your growth path changes a lot. Action items. Calculate your current K factor for the last 5 pieces using simple proxies for invites, conversion, and activation. Build a 1-page friction map of your share moment. List mechanical, cognitive, and social friction points. Remove one of each before your next post. Draft 3 value-first asks tailored to your audience. Test 1 per piece over the next week. Create 2 share templates that make the sharer look helpful. Add a 1-sentence frame that names who benefits. Implement a reply system. Choose 2 comments to turn into mini posts or stories within the first hour after publishing. Score your next 3 pieces with the shareability score. Only publish those that score above 24. Rework the rest. Set ethical guardrails in writing. Share them with collaborators and refer to them when crafting asks. Chapter Conclusion. You now have the mechanics to turn creative sparks into compounding fire. By engineering your K-factor, designing loops instead of dead ends, and lowering friction at the exact moment people are ready to share, you transform distribution from luck into a system. Your shareability score gives you a clear lens for decision-making. Retention curves and community replies reveal the silent variables that push the algorithm in your favor. Most important, your ethical guardrails keep your engine sustainable. In the next chapter, we will connect these mechanics to real platform dynamics. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and X reward different signals and behaviors. You will learn how to align your loops with each environment so your K-factor and shareability score convert into reach where it counts. Platform dynamics. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and X, Y, platform dynamics decide your reach. You learned in viral mechanics that loops and shareability create the engine of spread. Now you will see how the road surface under your wheels changes everything. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and X are not just different apps. They are different ecosystems with unique reward structures. The same idea can sync on one platform and soar on another depending on how it is packaged, timed, and signaled. This chapter teaches you to think like the platform, then grow viral, by aligning your creative, your packaging, and your early distribution tactics to the signals each environment amplifies. You will learn which metrics matter most, why session behaviors dominate video platforms, how network signals ignite conversations, and how to design modular content so you can repurpose intelligently without feeling copy-pasted. By the end, you will be able to map your idea to the right format, trigger early velocity, and build resilience so one algorithm tweak does not collapse your reach. The challenge of mismatched signals. Most creators fail not because the idea is weak, but because the platform fit is off. You post a thoughtful long analysis to TikTok where rapid motion and quick payoff drive watch time. You deliver a short meme to YouTube search where evergreen intent wins. You craft an elegant carousel on Instagram but forget saves and shares, so the feed recirculation never kicks in. Or you write a great thread on X but do not bridge networks with quotes, so you only bounce within your own circle. The challenge is that platforms reward different early signals. Session-level metrics like watch time and completion rate dominate TikTok and YouTube. Network signals like reposts, stitches, quote posts, and comments that spawn threads drive spread on TikTok and X. Instagram sits between, with saves and shares as the principal recirculation lever, while retention on micro video determines whether your clip keeps showing in feed and reels. If you optimize for the wrong signal, your content can be excellent and still stall. A second challenge is cultural norms. The same voice that feels authoritative on YouTube can feel salesy on Instagram. What counts as proof on X might read as bragging elsewhere. Platform culture shapes expectations for hook speed, editing, caption length, and call to action. When you ignore those norms, you create friction at the moment when the algorithm is evaluating your piece. That is the tightest bottleneck. You need early velocity to unlock larger distribution. The Platform Fit Framework. Use this framework to align your content with platform dynamics. It is a set of decisions that connect your idea to the environment that will amplify it. Signal alignment. Decide whether your primary driver is session metrics or network signals. For video platforms, optimize for watch time, completion, and average view duration. For conversation platforms, optimize for reposts, quotes, and replies that spawn threads. Native packaging. Choose the format the platform wants. TikTok likes vertical video with fast hooks and rapid context. YouTube supports both short and long, plus search and suggested pathways. Instagram splits between photo, carousel, reels, and stories, each with different recirculation mechanics. X rewards concise posts, reply cadence, and quotes that bridge audiences. Early velocity triggers. Identify the first 8-second strategy. The first 3 seconds must earn a hold. The first visible line or thumbnail must pay off the promise. Include a first comment call to action when native. For example, a pinned comment on YouTube or a top reply on X. Modularity and repurposing. Break your idea into modular assets. Hook, core value, proof, and call to action should be separable. This lets you reformulate for each platform without feeling copy-pasted. Each piece remains native while your message stays coherent. Authority and social proof. Map the proof that each platform respects. YouTube favors depth and demonstration. Instagram favors visual authority, for example, before and after, testimonials, and carousels. TikTok favors lived experience and show, not tell. X favors references, threads, and network endorsements. Collaboration and bridging. Use platform-specific collaboration features. TikTok has stitches and duets, which let others add to your story. Instagram has collab posts. X has quote posts and replies. Collaborations increase network density, which increases spread. Resilience and audience capture. Build platform resilience. Diversify formats and platforms, and capture audience outside the algorithm with email and community. This reduces volatility when a platform updates its rules. Deep dive across TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and X. TikTok, the session slinger. TikTok cares about whether your video keeps people in session. Watch time and completion rate rule. The algorithm tests your video to small batches. If viewers hold for the first 3 seconds, continue past the first 10, and do not swipe, your video will be shown to larger batches. Network signals also help. Stitches insert your clip into other creators' content, which piggybacks on their session flow. Duets create side-by-side interactions which draw comment threads and replies. Packaging on TikTok should be tight and kinetic. Open with motion or a startling statement. Use a visual hook that pays off quickly. Offer a clear narrative line. Even in a 7-second clip, captions should be short and clarify the payoff. You can use on-screen text to guide retention, for example, progress bars or step counts. Post timing matters less than early velocity. Focus on the first hour response. Encourage comments that invite others to add their angle, which boosts session depth and signal density. For authority, show proof rather than recite credentials. A simple demonstration beats a resume. YouTube, the depth and discovery engine. YouTube is 2 ecosystems, search and suggested. Search is intent-driven. Suggested is session-driven. Shorts occupy the fast lane where retention and repeat watches matter. Long-form videos reward watch time and average view duration. Titles and thumbnails are the gateway. They must promise a clear outcome and set an expectation that the video fulfills. For search, include the core term in the title, then deliver a compelling story that solves the query. For suggested, craft curiosity loops that make people click from home or watch next. Packaging for YouTube means clarity first, then intrigue. Thumbnails should be legible at small sizes, with one focal idea. Avoid busy text. Titles should be specific, not clever, and pay off early in the video so viewers trust you. Front-load value in the first 60 seconds. Use pattern breaks to maintain retention, for example, switching angle or adding visual evidence. Pin a first comment with a related video or a time-stamped guide. This encourages replies and session depth. Authority matters. Demonstrate domain knowledge with structured explanations and transparent references. Collaborations work well when you share audiences in related niches. The platform values continuity, so maintain a consistent cadence. Instagram, the visual recirculation hub. Instagram's feed recirculation is driven by saves and shares. Saves tell the algorithm the content has lasting value. Shares create network spread across DMs and stories. Reels bring TikTok-style micro-video behavior. Carousels anchor deeper value and invite stepwise consumption. Stories are ephemeral and intimate, useful for relationship building and driving action. Packaging on Instagram depends on the format. For carousels, start with a strong first card that communicates the benefit and the end state. Design each card to be skim-friendly. Encourage saves by offering templates, checklists, or frameworks. For Reels, use a quick visual hook and captions that add context, since many watch without sound. Call out the save in the caption only when it is genuinely useful. Posting timing aligns with your audience's day, but strong content can perform across the next few days. Collaborations via collab posts place your content on 2 feeds, which increases initial exposure. Social proof is visual. Use case studies, user-generated content, and before and after sequences. X, the conversation amplifier. X runs on conversation density and network bridging. Reposts and quote posts indicate spread. Replies that spawn threads indicate depth. Velocity depends on how quickly your post enters multiple networks. Hooks matter in the first line. Clarity and follow-through matter in the thread. The algorithm favors posts that keep people reading and interacting within a session. Packaging for X is concise and clear. Lead with a payoff, question, or contrarian observation. Follow with structure, for example, a short thread with numbered points. Use a quote post to bridge audiences by referencing another creator's post and adding insight. Ask a precise question to invite answers, not generic engagement bait. Timing is helpful, for example, when your audience is active, but amplification often comes from network bridges rather than schedule. Authority comes from consistent insight, references, and proof. Collaborations include co-authored threads and reply chains where multiple creators contribute. Putting the playbook into practice. Start by mapping your idea to the platform fit framework. Write your core message. Break it into modules, hook, core value, proof, and call to action. Decide which platform is primary. Then adapt the modules to native norms. For TikTok, write a 7 to 15 second hook script that pays off in the first sentence. Plan 3 visual beats. Add on-screen text and a clean caption. Aim for completion. For YouTube, draft a title and thumbnail that promise a specific outcome. Script the first 60 seconds to deliver a quick win and set expectations. Plan pattern breaks every minute to maintain retention. For Instagram, design a carousel with a strong first card and a stepwise flow. Include a template or checklist that encourages saves. For Reels, keep captions short and the hook visual. For X, craft a single punchy open line. Build a thread with 3 to 7 concise points. Prepare a quote post to bridge networks. Set up early velocity triggers. Pin a first comment. Add a top reply that invites contributions. Ask for saves only when you genuinely provide a tool. Use collaborations strategically. On TikTok, invite stitches. On Instagram, use collab posts. On X, quote posts that reference peers. Measure the right signals. Track watch time, completion, and average view duration for video. Track saves and shares for Instagram. Track reposts, quotes, and reply depth for X. Compare these to your shareability score from the previous chapter. Then adjust your packaging and hooks. Real-world application and case studies. A fitness coach wanted to launch a simple mobility routine. On TikTok, he led with a visual hook, a stiff hamstring stretch that immediately transformed with a 2-step sequence. He used on-screen text to label each step. The completion rate was high because the payoff was visible. In comments, he asked people to stitch their own quick fix. That created dozens of follow-on videos that referenced him, which increased network signal density and extended spread. On YouTube, the same coach posted a long-form guide titled with a clear outcome. The thumbnail showed a split image, static stretch on the left, improved range on the right. He delivered a quick win in the first 30 seconds, then explained the science behind each movement. Average view duration was strong because viewers trusted that every section would pay off. He pinned a comment with timestamps and a related video on hip mobility, which drove session extension. On Instagram, he published a carousel titled with a simple promise, a 5-minute routine to unlock tight hips. Each card showed one movement with cues, plus a progress bar across the bottom. The final card was a printable template. Save spiked because the content was useful. He followed with a reel that showed the routine in action, which captured micro-video retention. On X, the coach wrote a thread titled with a contrarian claim, "Stop static stretching before workouts." He referenced a study and explained a simple dynamic alternative. He quote-posted a researcher's discussion and added his practical take. Replies from trainers added nuance. The thread bridged networks and sustained conversation over 2 days. In each case, the idea stayed coherent while the packaging aligned with native norms. A small business selling kitchen tools applied the same method. The founder created a TikTok series where a messy drawer transformed in 10 seconds using modular dividers. She then posted a YouTube short with a clear title and thumbnail showing the before and after. On Instagram, she shared user-generated carousels with customers' kitchens, which created visual social proof. On X, she posted a short thread on setting up a morning routine station and, posted interior designers. The cross-platform pipeline produced resilience. When TikTok throttled reach after a policy change, the YouTube search traffic continued to bring new customers, while Instagram saves kept recirculating carousels for weeks. Common pitfalls and how to avoid them. Ignoring native norms. Posting the same clip everywhere without adjustment reduces performance. Solve this by modularizing your idea and repackaging for each platform. Over-indexing on vanity metrics. Likes feel good but do not tell you about distribution. Track watch time, completion, saves, shares, reposts, and reply depth. Weak hooks and slow payoff. If the first seconds are soft, you lose velocity. Start strong, deliver a quick win, and earn trust with early value. Asking for engagement without value. Empty calls to action can hurt. Make the ask from a position of service. For example, save this checklist. Ignoring collaborations. Isolation limits spread. Use stitches, collab posts, quote posts, and co-created videos to bridge networks. Over-reliance on one platform. Platform risk is real. Capture audience via email and community. Diversify your content formats. No cadence discipline. Inconsistent posting confuses the algorithm and your audience. Create a sustainable schedule that aligns with platform expectations. Copy-pasted thumbnails and titles. What works on YouTube may not fit TikTok or Instagram. Develop platform-specific packaging heuristics. Key takeaways. Platform dynamics decide whether your content earns early velocity and broad distribution. Align with session metrics on TikTok and YouTube, and with network signals on X and Instagram. Native packaging, fast hooks, and quick payoff are non-negotiable across video platforms. Saves and shares drive Instagram recirculation. Reposts, quotes, and replies drive spread on X. Modular content lets you repurpose intelligently while staying coherent. Authority and social proof must match platform culture. Show proof visually on Instagram, demonstrate depth on YouTube. Collaboration features bridge networks and magnify spread. Build resilience through diversification and audience capture. Action items. Choose one idea and break it into modules. Hook, core value, proof, and call to action. Map the idea to one primary platform and 2 secondary platforms. Draft platform-native packaging for each. TikTok hook script, YouTube title and thumbnail, Instagram carousel outline, X thread. Set up early velocity triggers, pinned comments, top replies, save-worthy assets. Publish with a simple cadence for 2 weeks. Measure watch time, completion, saves, shares, reposts, quotes, and reply depth. Identify one collaboration per platform, a stitch invitation, a collab post, a quote post exchange. Capture audience through a simple lead magnet and community touchpoint. Prepare a repurposing pipeline. Cut one long video into shorts. Carve carousels from scripts. Extract threads from outlines. Conclusion and bridge to experimentation platform. Dynamics of the operating system of your viral strategy. When you align your creative to the signals, formats, and norms of TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and X, you give your ideas the best chance to earn early velocity, accumulate network density, and sustain reach. Think like the platform, then grow viral by packaging, timing, and collaborating with intention. Protect yourself from algorithm shocks by diversifying and by capturing your audience outside the feed. In the next chapter, we will build the Content Lab. You will learn how to design rapid experiments that validate hooks, angles, and packaging before full production, and how to analyze microsignals like first 3-second holds and comment themes so every iteration gets smarter. Where this chapter taught you what the platforms reward, the next will teach you how to test your way into predictable hit rates. The Content Lab, Rapid Experimentation and Test Design Chapter Introduction. You do not need more ideas. You need a system to learn faster than everyone else. Building on what you covered in platform dynamics, this chapter turns those platform insights into an operating rhythm that ships, measures, and iterates with precision. You will create a content lab that treats every post as a small experiment and every week as a sprint that compounds your knowledge. You will learn how to form clear hypotheses, how to choose what to test first, and how to set stop rules so you know when to pivot. You will design minimum remarkable prototypes that validate hooks, angles, and packaging before full production. You will instrument analytics to capture microsignals in the first 3 seconds, in micro-retention dips, and in comments. Then translate them into actionable next steps. The goal is predictable output, faster hit rates, and a steady build of institutional knowledge that makes each next piece smarter than the last. The problem: most creators and teams publish based on gut feel, then wait, hope, and move on. The cycle is unpredictable. Outputs vary wildly. You learn a little, but insights hide in the noise. A single viral moment feels like luck, not a repeatable process. This approach breaks down because content environments change daily, audiences are fragmented, and platforms reward early signals. Without a simple experimentation program, you chase trends, overinvest in ideas that do not land, and underinvest in winners that could compound. You measure too many metrics, or the wrong ones, and you run tests without clear hypotheses. You end up with sporadic brilliance rather than consistent growth. As a guiding principle, speed with discipline beats sporadic brilliance. Cadence compounds learning. The solution framework, a content lab, is a test-driven culture that turns creativity into an engine. Use the content lab loop, a repeatable framework that fits any format or platform. Capture, store ideas and observed audience questions in a single place. Hypothesize. Write one sentence that states what you believe, the expected signal, and how you will know if you are right. Prioritize. Use impact, confidence, effort scoring so you focus on high-leverage tests. Prototype. Build minimum remarkable prototypes that are small, fast, and still delightful enough to earn honest signals. Instrument. Track a few decisive metrics, especially early microsignals. Sprint. Ship experiments weekly with clear time boxes and sample size targets. Review. Run retros with the team to extract learnings and update the playbook. Scale. Promote winners to full production, then repurpose across platforms. This loop creates a disciplined cadence that accelerates learning while lowering risk. You spend more time testing hooks, angles, and packaging, and less time guessing. Deep dive idea capture system. Use one low-friction tool as the single source of truth. A simple notes app or board works. Create columns for raw ideas, hooks, angles, packaging, audience questions, and observations. Whenever you see a comment theme, a question in your inbox, or a post that sparks curiosity, capture it. Tag ideas by potential audience segment and platform. Keep capture simple to encourage volume. You can curate later. Hypothesis formation. Strong tests start with strong hypotheses. Use this template. Statement. If we open with a contrarian claim that challenges a common belief, then hook rate will rise above 45% on short video. Signal. Hook rate, completion rate to 25%, comment volume that mentions surprise. Stop rule. If hook rate is under 30% after 500 views, kill the angle and test a proof lead. Rationale. Past comments show skepticism toward accepted advice in this niche. Each hypothesis should be falsifiable, tied to one main signal, and have a stop rule that avoids sunk cost. Prioritization with impact, confidence, effort. Score each idea on a 1 to 10 scale for impact, confidence, effort. Impact. If this lands, how big is the lift on the decisive metric? A hook that boosts click-through rate can have major impact. Confidence. How sure are you based on past signals or market data? A pattern you have seen 3 times carries higher confidence. Effort. How much time and cost will this take? Lower effort means faster learning. Compute a simple average of impact and confidence, then divide by effort. Prioritize high IC score ideas first. This concentrates resources on tests most likely to move the needle. Minimum remarkable prototypes. An MRP is not a rough draft. It is the smallest version that still makes someone say, "That was worth my time." This calibration matters. You want honest market feedback without wasting production cycles. Examples: a short, not a full documentary, that proves whether a hook earns a stop in the feed. A thumbnail and 2 title lines tested as a community post, or A/B on YouTube, before editing the long video. A carousel mockup with final visuals that tests whether the angle makes people swipe to the end. MRPs validate the demand capture layer. They surface winning hooks and packaging early. Build them quickly, but ensure they deliver a genuine promise. Instrumenting microsignals predict macro outcomes. Focus on early indicators that show whether the idea is resonating. First 3 seconds. Stop rate, hook retention to the first beat, and viewer drop pattern in the first 3 seconds. Micro retention drops. Identify where the line dips around transitions, jargon, or unclear visuals. Packaging clicks. Title and thumbnail click-through rate alignment. A mismatch here hurts trust and watch time. Comment themes. Look for repeated words that signal emotion, confusion, or share intent. Save and share rate. Saves and shares often reflect utility, which predicts long tail growth. Limit your dashboard to 5 decisive metrics. Too many numbers blur decisions. Use platform-specific metrics from the previous chapter to match the environment. For short video, hook rate and completion to 50% carry weight. For YouTube long-form, average view duration, click-through rate, and relative retention compared to similar videos are core. Sample sizing and time boxing. Aim for enough impressions to see direction, not academic certainty. Use decision thresholds appropriate to the platform. Short video. For hook tests, 500 to 1,000 views per variant can reveal clear separation on early metrics. Thumbnails and titles. On YouTube, run A/B variants until each receives at least 100 to 200 impressions to detect a click-through difference. Then confirm behavior holds after rollout. Carousels and posts. For Instagram, monitor reach to engagement ratio across 2 variants over 48 hours to see lift trends. Time box tests to a fixed window, usually 1 week. Too long and you slow learning. Too short and you quit before the signal stabilizes. Use stop rules. If an MRP fails to cross your threshold by mid-sprint, stop and redeploy those hours to the next idea. Retros and playbooks. End each sprint with a retrospective. Ask 3 questions. What did we expect and what actually happened? What did we learn about hooks, angles, or packaging? What will we change next week? Document findings in a living playbook. Keep examples of the best performing hooks and thumbnails. Note phrases and visual compositions that triggered shares or saves. Over time, you create a library of proven patterns that shorten the path to your next winner. Implementation strategy. Set a weekly sprint rhythm. Use a simple Monday to Friday cadence. Monday, backlog grooming. Review the idea board. Apply impact, confidence, effort. Select 2 to 4 tests. Assign owners. Confirm hypotheses and stop rules. Tuesday, prototype build. Produce MRPs. For YouTube, prepare alternative titles and thumbnail mockups. For TikTok, record 3 hook variants for the same idea. Wednesday, ship and instrument. Publish tests. Ensure analytics tags and notes are set. Track early metrics in your dashboard. Thursday, analyze microsignals. Read retention graphs. Scan comments for themes. Validate that packaging matches the promise. Pivot if a test fails early. Friday, retro and scale. Decide which test graduates. Update the playbook. Schedule full productions based on winners. Repurpose across platforms with native adjustments. Create a single source dashboard. Build a one-page dashboard that centers on decisive metrics. Include 5 measures. Hook rate or click-through rate completion rate, TO 50%, or average view duration. Save or share rate, comment velocity, and theme tags, output cadence and hit rate. Use sparklines or simple trend lines. Add a weekly notes section to capture interpretation, not just numbers. The dashboard is a conversation starter, not a scorecard tucked away. Craft MRPs with quality constraints. Define what makes a prototype remarkable. Set standards for audio clarity, visual contrast, and coherent framing. For thumbnails, ensure legible text, strong focal subject, and emotional evidence. For hooks, write scripts that deliver a clear promise in one line. Avoid overproduction. The constraint keeps speed and quality in balance. Establish stop rules and decision gates. Before each test, set thresholds. If the first 3 seconds retention is below 35% after 800 views, stop. If click-through rate on variant A beats variant B by 20% after 150 impressions, roll A site-wide. If comments show mismatched expectation, revisit the title and thumbnail harmony. Decision gates prevent attachment to sunk costs. Real-world application creator sprints on TikTok. A cooking creator suspected that people prefer problem-solving hooks over recipe reveals. Hypothesis: if we open with a kitchen mistake and promise a fix, hook rate will increase above 50%. They built 3 MRPs, each a 12-second opener. Variant 1 began with a messy pan, and the line, "If your chicken sticks, you are missing one simple step." Variant 2 began with the final plated dish. Variant 3 began with a chef shot and a generic intro. After 1,200 combined views, Variant 1 showed a 58% hook rate and a comment theme with the word "fix" repeated. Variants 2 and 3 were under 35%. The winner graduated to a full video. The final piece earned shares and saves that doubled their average. Result: a repeatable hook pattern rooted in solving a common pain. Brand experiment on YouTube. A fitness brand struggled with early drop-offs in long form. Reviewing retention, they saw dips around minute 2 where the coach delivered a dense explanation. Hypothesis: if we replace the dense segment with a single visual demo, micro-retention drops will flatten. They built an MRP by re-editing the first 3 minutes and A/B tested titles and thumbnails in community posts. After 48 hours, the variant with a motion-based thumbnail and action-oriented title lifted click-through rate by 14%. In the revised video, the early drop flattened and average view duration increased by 2 minutes compared to the last 3 uploads. The team logged the insight. Viewers respond to immediate demonstration, then explanation. Newsletter packaging test. A productivity newsletter suspected that a single focus angle beats a list of tips. Hypothesis: if the subject line promises one counterintuitive rule, open rate will rise above the last 4 issues. They tested 2 MRPs using subject lines and preview text. The single rule variant outperformed with a 6-point open rate lift. Comments included the words "finally" and "make sense." This insight fed back into social teasers and short video hooks for coherence across platforms. Common pitfalls: testing too many variables at once. If you change hook, angle, and packaging in the same test, you cannot attribute the lift. Isolate your variables. Test hooks first, then titles and thumbnails, then structure. Chasing vanity metrics. Views without retention rarely translate to growth. Focus on decisive metrics. For short video, hook rate and completion. For YouTube long form, click-through rate, average view duration, and relative retention. Overbuilding prototypes. MRPs should be small, fast, and still delightful. Overbuilding slows learning. Underbuilding produces false negatives. Set quality constraints so viewer feedback is honest. Ignoring comment themes. Comments reveal language your audience uses. If people repeat words like confused, slow, or finally, they show you where to iterate. Tag comments and add them to the playbook. No stop rules. Without stop rules, you keep polishing weak angles. Decide thresholds before you ship. Cut quickly, pivot, and redeploy energy to the next test. Copy pasting across platforms. What works on TikTok may not work on YouTube without adjustment. Use platform-specific heuristics from platform dynamics. Preserve the core idea, adjust the packaging. Key takeaways. A content lab creates a weekly rhythm that turns creativity into a repeatable engine. Hypotheses, stop rules, and impact, confidence, effort prioritization concentrate learning. Minimum remarkable prototypes validate hooks, angles, and packaging before full production. Microsignals, especially the first 3 seconds, predict outcomes. Instrument them. A concise dashboard aligns the team on decisive metrics and trends. Retros and a living playbook compound knowledge across formats and platforms. Action items. Set up a single idea capture board with columns for hooks, angles, packaging, and audience questions. Write 3 hypotheses for your next week, each with a clear signal and stop rule. Score your backlog with impact, confidence, effort, then select 2 tests with the highest scores. Build and ship 2 MRPs that validate a hook and a thumbnail title pair. Create a 1-page dashboard with 5 decisive metrics and a weekly notes section. Schedule a Friday retro, document learnings, and update your playbook with examples that worked. Chapter conclusion. You now have the scaffolding for a test-driven content culture. With a weekly sprint, MRPs, and a dashboard that centers on decisive metrics, you will learn faster and reduce waste. This rhythm makes each piece smarter than the last, and it turns virality from a lucky spike into a higher probability outcome. In the next chapter, you will go deep on the demand capture layer. You will craft irresistible hooks, headlines, and thumbnails, and you will use the exact testing methods you built here to refine them. The Content Lab keeps the engine running. Hooks, headlines, and thumbnails are the spark plugs you will tune next. Crafting irresistible hooks, headlines, and thumbnails, chapter introduction. Your audience decides in less than a second whether to give you their attention. That first screen is your demand capture layer. In this chapter, you will learn how to build hooks, headlines, and thumbnails that stop the scroll, earn the click, and set up retention. You will discover formulas that open strong and sustain curiosity without resorting to clickbait. You will also learn how to align titles and thumbnails into a 2-beat story, where the title frames the claim and the thumbnail delivers emotional evidence. Building on the testing rhythm from the Content Lab, we will turn hooks into a repeatable system. You will see how specific, credible promises with visible stakes create tension that pulls viewers in. We will explore platform-native openers for TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and X, then show you how to A/B test variations to lift your click-through rate and your first 10-second retention. By the end, you will have templates you can deploy today and a method for improving them every week. The problem: most content fails before it starts. Great ideas get buried under vague titles, clever but confusing headlines, and thumbnails that do not communicate at a glance. When the promise is unclear, the audience scrolls on. When the title and thumbnail tell 2 different stories, viewers click, then drop in the first seconds. Algorithms read those drops as dissatisfaction, which reduces distribution even if the rest of the video is solid. There is a trap here. The faster the feed moves, the more creators reach for cheap curiosity. For example, you will not believe what happened next. This noise erodes trust. Audiences want clarity and intrigue together. As one creative director put it, curiosity without clarity is confusion. Your job is to engineer that first screen so it tells the right story fast, then pay off the promise so retention holds. The solution framework. Use a 3-part system to craft demand capture that converts attention into sessions. The first screen formula: stakes, specificity, novelty, and contrast. Surface what is at risk or gained. Name exactly what they will get. Show what is new or unexpected, and present a clear contrast or before and after. Title and thumbnail harmony, the 2-beat story. The title frames the claim with a crisp promise. The thumbnail delivers emotional evidence that makes the claim feel true. Harmony increases click while reducing early drop-offs. Platform native openers. Optimize the first 5 seconds for the platform. TikTok needs motion and face contact. YouTube needs title recall plus a tease of payoff. Instagram favors visual contrast plus a caption seed. X favors a first line that makes a complete point while inviting the thread. Add a 4th layer from the Content Lab. Everything gets tested. Build micro variations and ship quickly. Measure CTR, first 10 seconds retention, and comment sentiment, then iterate. Deep dive. Start with the first screen formula. Stake signals why this matters now. It can be loss avoidance, gain pursuit, or reputation risk. Example stakes include saving 2 hours a week, avoiding common mistakes, or unlocking a rare. Opportunity. Specificity builds credibility. Replace secrets with named methods, numbers, or constraints. Novelty does not mean never seen. It means unexpected angle or fresh framing. Contrast creates comprehension speed. It can be a surprising pairing, a before and after, or a versus structure. Combine them. From 0 to first 100 customers with one cold email template carries stakes, specificity, and contrast. The novelty sits in one template. The thumbnail could show a simple screenshot with a highlighted line, and a face with a raised eyebrow. This tells the story in 2 beats. Title frames the claim. Thumbnail provides emotional evidence. The viewer feels like this is doable. Curiosity must be earned by payoff alignment. Instead of "you will not believe this," use curiosity structures that promise value and define an outcome. Examples include, "I tried X so you do not have to," "the mistake that cost me Y," and "what I wish I knew before Z." These hold tension while pointing to a clear resolution. When you deliver that resolution early, retention stabilizes. Pattern interrupts stop the scroll. Use motion, sound shifts, or visual contrast. A hand appearing in frame, a bold zoom to an object, a cut to a different environment, or a quick question on screen is enough to halt the thumb. The interrupt only works when followed by a clear next beat. Ask yourself, does the first second force the brain to resolve something? Then does the second and third seconds reveal a path to resolution? Title and thumbnail harmony prevents misalignment penalties. If the title says, "How I Saved $500 on My Phone Bill," the thumbnail should not show a stack of cash without context. Show the bill with a circled line item, a carrier logo, and a facial expression that conveys relief. The 2 beats pair a promise with emotional evidence. Viewers do not feel tricked. Early drop-offs fall. In turn, recommendation systems see satisfaction signals and distribution rises. Visual systems matter. Faces pull attention and convey emotion fast. Context objects anchor the story. If your claim is about productivity, show a calendar, a timer, or a task list. Use clear contrast. Dark background with bright object. Simple color palette. Large legible text when needed, under 4 words. White space helps the eye. Think in 0.3 seconds comprehension windows. Ask someone to glance for a third of a second and tell you what it is about. If they cannot, simplify. Ethical standards protect trust. Promise only what you can deliver. Avoid hiding essential details behind a cliff that never closes. Expectation matching increases satisfaction and retention. A useful mantra is, intrigue invites, delivery delights. The first screen creates tension, the first 30 seconds confirm value, the rest delivers on the promise. Implementation strategy. Follow a 5-step process to build and improve hooks, headlines, and thumbnails. Step 1. Define the payoff. Write the single sentence outcome a viewer will achieve. Include stakes and specificity. For example, you will learn a repeatable email that gets 5 replies from 10 sends. Step 2. Draft title candidates with the 4C mix. Clarity, contrast, credibility, congruence. Create at least 6 variants. Make each variant address one lever more strongly. Step 3. Compose thumbnail concepts that provide emotional evidence. Sketch 3 versions. Version A uses a face plus context object. Version B uses object close-up plus action. Version C uses simple text plus a clear visual metaphor. Keep text under 4 words and use strong contrast. Step 4. Build platform-native openers. For TikTok, plan motion in the first second. For example, a quick pan or a hand action. For YouTube, script a hook that recalls the title and points to the payoff within 10 seconds. For Instagram, place a bold visual in the first frame and front-load your caption with the payoff and a curiosity seed. For X, write a first line that stands alone as a complete insight and signals the thread value. Step 5. Test, measure, and iterate. Use A/B testing where the platform allows, for example, community polls or 2 versions published to a small audience. Measure CTR, first 10 seconds retention, and comments. Select the winning pair. Refine for clarity, contrast, and congruence. Real-world application. A fitness creator struggled with early drop-offs. Their titles were clever, for example, Burn It Like a Fire. Their thumbnails featured abstract flames. CTR was mediocre and retention crashed in the first 10 seconds. They switched to the first screen formula. New title, The 12-Minute Workout That Burned 200 Calories at Home. Stakes and specificity were clear. Thumbnail showed a stopwatch at 12 minutes, a calorie counter display, and the creator mid-push-up with sweat visible. In the intro, they said, "Stay with me for 12 minutes, here is the timer, here is the calorie count, and here is your payoff." CTR lifted and retention stabilized. Comments shifted from confusion to gratitude. A finance educator used vague thumbnails and dense titles. They adopted the 2-beat story. Title, How I Negotiated My Rent Down with One Email. Thumbnail showed a rent invoice with a circled reduced amount and a single line from the email. In the first 5 seconds, they opened with, "I sent 1 email and saved this much. Here is exactly what it said." The audience felt an earned curiosity. They watched through the email breakdown and applied it. Share rates increased because the payoff was aligned. A cooking brand learned from the Content Lab. They A/B tested titles with and without specificity. Perfect steak every time versus perfect medium rare steak with a cold pan. The second title had clear specificity and novelty. Thumbnails showed the steak with a cut revealing medium rare and a cold pan with the words cold pan in a small caption. Comments confirmed them. Novelty. The idea that a cold pan could be used was new to many. The brand repeated the pattern across recipes. The 2-beat story brought coherence and lift. Common pitfalls. Cleverness over clarity. A playful title is tempting but often confusing. If a viewer does not know what they will get, they will not click. Misaligned title and thumbnail. When the 2 beats tell different stories, viewers feel tricked. Early drop-offs follow. Algorithms reduce reach. Overstuffed thumbnails. Too much text, too many elements, low contrast. Simplify to one focus, one emotion, one context object. Ignoring early feedback. When comments signal confusion about the promise, iterate. Do not double down on a failing hook. Ethical slippage. Promising results you cannot deliver erodes trust. Repeat violations create retention cliffs and unsubscribe spikes. Vague curiosity. You will not believe invites skepticism. Replace with intrigue that defines a payoff. No platform adaptation. Recycling one opener across TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and X reduces performance. Tailor the first seconds. Key takeaways. The first screen decides the session. Combine stakes, specificity, novelty, and contrast to earn attention. Title and thumbnail harmony tells a 2-beat story. Promise in the title, emotional evidence in the thumbnail. Faces and context objects increase comprehension speed. Use clear contrast and limit text. Platform-native openers outperform generic hooks. Tailor motion, recall, and captioning. Curiosity must be earned and aligned. Pay off early to stabilize retention. A/B testing, CTR tracking, and comment reading turn hooks into a system. Ethical clarity builds trust and long-term performance. Expectation matching reduces drop-offs. Action items write title variants for your next piece using the 4C mix. Keep each under 70 characters. Sketch 3 thumbnail concepts that deliver emotional evidence. Use one face, one object, and a high-contrast palette. Script the first 10 seconds of your video. Confirm the payoff explicitly and show the path to it. Create platform-specific openers. Plan motion for TikTok, title recall for YouTube, caption seed for Instagram, and a complete first line for X. Run an A/B test on 2 title and thumbnail pairs with a small audience. Measure CTR and first 10 seconds retention. Perform a 0.3-second glance test with 3 people. Ask what the thumbnail is about. Simplify based on feedback. Audit 5 past pieces for misalignment. Note where the title and thumbnail promised different things. Rewrite them and relaunch. Draft a short ethics checklist for your team. Confirm the promise, the payoff, and the expectation match before publishing. Chapter conclusion: hooks, headlines, and thumbnails are where ideas meet attention. When you craft the first screen with clarity, tension, and visual coherence, you earn the click and set up satisfaction. The 2-beat story brings title and thumbnail into harmony. Platform native openers and iterative testing turn this into a repeatable system. As you apply these templates and methods, remember the principle: intrigue invites, delivery delights. In the next chapter, we will move from packaging to reach. Distribution and launch will show you how to orchestrate a cross-platform rollout that multiplies momentum. You will take a strong hook and headline, then sequence channels, atomize content, and trigger recommendation systems without spam. Great packaging paired with smart distribution is how you think and grow viral with integrity and compounding results. Distribution and launch. Cross-platform orchestration. Distribution and launch. Cross-platform orchestration. Chapter introduction. You can have a masterpiece that nails the hook, headline, and thumbnail, yet if you publish it into a vacuum, it will underperform. Great content deserves great distribution. In the last chapter, you learned how to win the click with title and thumbnail harmony. Now you will engineer the momentum that turns that click into a surge of reach across platforms and audiences. This chapter gives you a complete launch orchestration system. You will plan a 72-hour window that sequences your primary platform publish, secondary clips, email alerts, DM pods, community seeding, and partner amplification. You will atomize one flagship into platform-native derivatives without weakening your core message. You will pace and tag so recommendation systems recognize your momentum without flagging your behavior as spam. You will add earned layers through collaborations and mentions, an owned layer through newsletters and communities, and a relaunch playbook to revive winners for long-tail compounding. The problem creators and teams often pour months into content, then push publish and hope. The result is launch leakage. Key stakeholders do not know when or where to share, clips are missing, links break, partners are unprepared, and posts cluster at random times. Without a plan, the first 72 hours pass quietly. Platforms often use that window to gauge early engagement and classify content. If the opening is weak, the system will categorize your piece as a verage, and it will be harder to recover. Another common issue is channel mismatch. You cut a long video and paste it everywhere, yet each platform rewards different formats, lengths, and signals. Your audience receives a flood of announcements that feel repetitive, so engagement decays. Meanwhile, you have no earned distribution because collaborators were not integrated, and no owned distribution because your email or community was not briefed. The spike you deserve never materializes. The solution framework. Think of your launch as a relay race, not a sprint. You need a structure that builds momentum, transfers energy across channels, and sustains attention. Use the 3-layer launch framework. Layer 1, primary publish. Select one platform as the flagship destination. This is where the full experience lives. Optimize metadata. Prepare your opening moments. Schedule your publish at a time when your core audience is most active. Layer 2, automatize derivatives. Break the flagship into clips, quotes, visuals, and threads that are native to TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, Instagram Carousel, and X. Each derivative should deliver a complete micro-story with a clear call to action that points back to the flagship or to the platform native follow. Layer 3, distribution layers. Activate earned distribution through partners, collabs, mentions, quotes, and user-generated content prompts. Activate owned distribution through email, newsletters, and communities. Add a lightweight paid boost if appropriate, although this chapter focuses on organic. Sequence these layers across 72 hours so signals accumulate, not collide. Finally, include a relaunch playbook. Fresh angles, metadata refresh, value-add updates, seasonal positioning, and partner reruns can revive winners and compound outcomes at low marginal cost. Deep dive sequencing. The first 72 hours. Your first 72 hours is the momentum window. Map 3 phases. Phase 1, 0 to 6 hours. Publish the flagship. Immediately reply to comments to raise session time and conversation density. Post 1 or 2 platform-native clips on secondary platforms that tease the core idea and point to the flagship. Send an email alert to your most engaged segment with a short summary, the why, and a direct link. Activate your DM pods, small groups of peers who agree to watch and engage. Seed into one community thread where your content genuinely adds value. Phase 2, 6 to 24 hours. Release more derivatives. Publish a thread on X with 5 to 7 punchy takeaways and 1 or 2 visual proof points. Share a carousel on Instagram with before and after frames or key frameworks. Post a shorts teaser with a curiosity-driven hook and a call to watch the full. Send a second, lighter email to your broader list, framing the content as a solution to a persistent problem. Reach out to 2 partners for amplification. Include an easy share blurb and a custom clip that speaks to their audience. Phase 3, 24 to 72 hours. Rotate angles. Share a behind-the-scenes clip that humanizes your process. Run a live session where you answer questions and direct viewers to the flagship. Prompt user-generated content by asking for remixes, stitches, or quote tweets of their favorite insight. Then spotlight the best ones. Publish one roundup post that collects reactions, stats, and quotes, and then link back to the flagship. This phase stabilizes reach and attracts new audiences who discover you through social proof. Content automatization without losing integrity. Automatization turns one flagship into a week of platform-native derivatives. Done poorly, it fragments your message. Done well, it preserves integrity and multiplies reach. Start with a content spine, a one-page outline of your key story beats, statistics, frameworks, and emotional moments. Tag each beat with a derivative type. A surprising stat becomes a tweet. A memorable sentence becomes a quote graphic. A visual framework becomes an Instagram carousel. A tension-filled scene becomes a 30-second clip. Follow this rule. Each derivative must be self-contained, valuable on its own, and point to a next action. Avoid posting cutdowns that feel incomplete. For TikTok and Reels, aim for clips that hook in 3 seconds, deliver a clear payoff, then invite a follow or a jump to the flagship. For X, threads should. Escalate insight, not tease vaguely. For Instagram, carousels should teach in 10 slides or less, with slide 1 grabbing attention and slide 10 offering a call to action. Tagging, pacing, and timing. Recommendation systems watch for consistent behavior. You want signals that look organic, not spammy. Avoid posting too many announcements at once. Space posts with at least 30 to 60 minutes between them in the first day. Then widen gaps on days 2 and 3. Use relevant tags and keywords that match the language your audience uses, not every trending tag you can find. Choose 2 to 3 tags per post that are specific and honest. Timing matters, yet it is audience-specific. If your audience is global, consider 2 waves, one that aligns with early morning in your primary region and one that aligns with late evening. If your audience is local, publish at the time your comments are historically most active. Your analytics will show patterns. Follow those patterns. Earned and owned layers. Earned distribution is when others share you because it benefits them or their audience. This includes collaborators, partners, and advocates. Prepare a share kit, a short document with links, clips, quotes, and suggested captions, so partners can post with minimal work. Offer angles that align with each partner. A podcast host gets an audio snippet. A community leader gets a how-to post. A newsletter writer gets a graphic that illustrates a key point. Owned distribution stabilizes reach. Your email list and community are not subject to algorithm volatility. For email, avoid blast fatigue. Send one high-intent alert to your engaged segment at publish time, then a value forward digest to your broader list within 24 hours. For community, open a dedicated thread where members can discuss and ask questions. Keep the conversation rich. The goal is depth. Recommendation systems often respect deep threads, and your own spaces will compound relationships. Relaunching winners for Longtail. Compounding. When a piece breaks out, do not let it fade. Schedule a relaunch with fresh angles. Update the title and description to surface the most resonant benefit. Add a value-add segment or a mini case study. Tie the content to a seasonal moment or a trending conversation. Share a roundup of reactions and outcomes, then point back to the piece. Quote a thoughtful comment and respond publicly. This signals continued relevance. Implementation strategy. Build a launch runbook so your team can execute with confidence. Follow these steps. Define your primary platform. Choose where the flagship will live and set the publish time. Prepare the content spine. Identify story beats, stats, quotes, and visuals. Create automatized derivatives. Produce clips, carousels, threads, and quote graphics for each platform. Assemble the share kit. Package links, assets, suggested captions, and partner-specific angles. Map the 72-hour sequence. Assign posts to hours with buffers to avoid overlap. Brief your owned channels. Draft email alerts, community threads, and live session plans. Activate earned partners. Collect commitments, confirm times, and share customized assets. Set monitoring and response. Assign who will reply in comments, handle DMs, and track performance. Establish decision gates. Decide when to release additional derivatives based on early momentum. Plan the relaunch. Block a future window for refresh if the piece performs well. For solo creators, scale this approach to your capacity. Prioritize 1 or 2 secondary platforms and 1 owned channel. For teams, assign clear roles, a single point of contact for partners, and daily stand-ups during the launch window to prevent leakage. Real-world application. The Ice Bucket Challenge is a classic example of earned distribution and user-generated content prompts multiplied by sequencing. The prompt was simple. Film yourself pouring ice water over your head, challenge friends, donate, and post. The campaign lived across Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and it worked because the content was inherently native. The calls to action were clear, and the community carried the momentum. The lesson is to design prompts that reward participation and make it easy to share. Product hunt launches are another illustration of the momentum window. Makers coordinate a 24-hour period where they publish, rally their communities, engage live with comments, share clips on Twitter and LinkedIn, and send emails to their list. The sequencing matters. Early engagement signals lift, partner amplification adds credibility, and owned channels stabilize reach through the day. The lesson is to map a schedule, brief supporters, and provide frictionless assets. Consider creators who host live breakdowns after publishing a YouTube video. They release the flagship. 6 hours later, they go live to answer questions and react to comments. Clips from the live session then become shorts and reels. The live engagement deepens connection and drives late phase reach. The lesson is to stack formats that reinforce each other, not to blast the same announcement everywhere. Publishing without a plan. If you improvise the launch, you will miss timing windows and leave partners unbriefed. Overposting in the first hour. Clustering 5 or more announcements at once looks spammy and depresses engagement. Non-native derivatives. Copy-pasting a long clip into a short format will underperform because it ignores platform norms. Vague calls to action. Teasers without a clear next step waste attention. Weak share kits. Partners will not post if you make them do extra work to craft assets. Ignoring time zones. If your audience is global, schedule waves to accommodate different regions. Metadata neglect. Titles, descriptions, tags, and thumbnails must align with the actual content and the promise. No monitoring. Failing to reply to early comments reduces momentum and social proof. Skipping relaunches. High performers can deliver again, yet many teams never refresh or re-promote. Key takeaways. The first 72 hours influence how platforms classify your content. Sequence channels like a relay to build momentum and avoid collisions. Atomize the flagship into platform-native derivatives that stand alone. Earned distribution through partners and prompts multiplies reach. Owned channels stabilize outcomes and hedge platform volatility. Tagging, pacing, and timing should look organic, not spammy. Share kits remove friction and raise partner participation. Live sessions and spotlighting user content deepen engagement. Relaunches revive winners and compound long-tail views. Action items. Choose your primary platform and set a publish time based on audience activity. Build a content spine with story beats, stats, visuals, and quotes. Produce at least 5 derivatives, 2 short clips, 1 carousel, 1 thread, 1 quote graphic. Create a share kit with links, assets, and partner-specific captions. Draft 2 emails, 1 for your engaged segment, 1 value-forward digest. Map a 72-hour schedule with buffers and assign who posts each asset. Line up 3 partners or collaborators and secure posting commitments. Plan a live session within 24 hours to answer questions and direct attention. Set monitoring roles for comments and DMs, reply quickly and thoughtfully. Schedule a relaunch window with a fresh angle if early performance is strong. Chapter conclusion. Distribution turns great content into great outcomes. The difference between a quiet publish and a breakout often comes from orchestration, not just creative quality. You now have a system to map the first 72 hours, atomize without diluting your message, activate partners and communities, and position winners for repeated success. Building on what we covered in crafting irresistible hooks, headlines, and thumbnails, you can align the demand capture layer with a distribution engine that multiplies reach. Attention spikes are wonderful, yet they can fade quickly. In the next chapter, Spike to Sustain, you will learn how to turn virality into durable assets. We will design capture, conversion, and retention systems that transform momentum into subscribers, community, and revenue. With distribution, orchestration, and sustainability in place, you will think and grow viral with more predictability and less guesswork. Spike T to Sustain. Turning virality into long-term growth. Spike T to Sustain. Turning virality into long-term growth. Chapter Introduction. You have felt the rush. A post lifts off, comments stack, followers pour. Risk, ethics, and reputation. Safeguards for sustainable virality. Risk, ethics, and reputation. Safeguards for sustainable virality. Chapter Introduction. Virality accelerates everything: the praise, the pressure, and the consequences. The same growth loops that lift a message can also amplify missteps. Building on Spike to Sustain, it is time to protect the assets you cannot easily rebuild: trust with your audience, access to platforms, and your own energy. As the saying goes, trust is earned in drops and lost in buckets. This chapter gives you practical guardrails. You will install a pre-flight risk assessment to catch avoidable mistakes. Learn attribution and disclosure etiquette that preserves privileges. Build feedback loops that flag tone and context risks. And design a crisis protocol that contains controversy without fueling the fire. Finally, you will set boundaries and cadence plans that preserve your well-being while keeping output consistent. The problem. The race for attention tempts creators and teams to cut corners. Hooks overpromise. Concepts collapse under scrutiny. Memes drift into misrepresentation. Sponsors slip into content without clear disclosures. User stories reveal more personal details than you intended. Platforms apply strict rules at scale, and a single violation can throttle your reach across properties you depend on. The bigger challenge is that virality compresses time. You can go from post to backlash in hours. The volume of replies and remixes makes tone harder to control. Well-meaning comments can reframe your intent. In a spike, you are asked to respond quickly, yet you have imperfect information. Meanwhile, you are juggling a calendar, editing pipeline, and commitments to partners, which increases the risk of burnout and low-quality decisions. Sustainable growth is not only a mechanics problem, it is a reputation and relationship problem. Without safeguards, you invite backlash, erosion of trust, and platform penalties. With them, you create a predictable environment where creative risk is encouraged and harmful risk is contained. The solution framework uses the SAFE framework. It is simple enough to run before every launch, yet robust enough to guide crisis response and well-being. Safety. Minimize harm to people and communities through tone checks, privacy practices, and platform policy alignment. Accuracy. Validate claims. Separate anecdotes from data. Add nuance where viral simplicity could mislead. Fairness. Respect attribution, transforms when remixing, and disclose affiliations, sponsorships, and incentives. Escalation. Create clear paths to listen to feedback, pause distribution when needed, and respond with transparency and speed. SAFE turns abstract ethics into repeatable steps you can embed in your production flow. Applied consistently, it raises quality and lowers risk without slowing creative momentum. Deep dive. Safety begins with a pre-flight risk assessment. Run it against every piece with 5 lenses: audience impact, tone, privacy, platform policy, and context drift. Audience impact. Ask, who could be hurt if this spreads? Consider vulnerable groups, sensitive topics like health, finance, and identity, and unintended uses. If your content could encourage unsafe behavior, add clear cautions. T1. Identify language that could be dismissive, shaming, or inflammatory. Replace callouts with call-ins. Favor clarity over sarcasm when the topic is complex. Privacy. Remove identifiable details from user stories unless you have written consent. Blur faces as needed. Avoid revealing behind-the-scenes data such as private revenue or internal dashboards unless all parties agree. Platform policy. Scan for restricted categories such as medical claims, regulated financial advice, and misleading engagement bait. Align thumbnails, captions, and metadata with platform rules. Violations often trigger automated limits. Context drift. Think about how the content could be reframed by remixes or clips. If a single sentence taken out of context could invert your intent, add context in visuals or captions to anchor interpretation. Accuracy means stress testing claims and hooks. Use a 3-tier validation model. Facts. Cite primary sources. If you share a statistic, link to the origin. If not possible within the post, anchor in a comment or description. Do not present provisional data as settled science. Mechanisms. Explain why something works, not only that it works. This prevents overpromising. If your hook is maximally simple, add a second line that signals nuance. For example, you can say, "This tactic works, and here is when it does not." Boundaries. State conditions. If you describe a growth strategy, define the audience type, budget, and constraints. Conditions reduce misinterpretation and earn trust. Fairness covers attribution and disclosure. When remixing, credit the original creator prominently. Add your transformation. Ask, does this add new value or context? Fair use generally considers transformation, the nature of the work, the amount used, and the effect on the market. Seek permission when you are unsure. For affiliate links and sponsorships, use clear and conspicuous disclosures. Regulations in many regions require that readers understand if you are compensated for a recommendation. Put disclosures near the recommendation, in words your audience understands, not hidden in a footer. Escalation is your early warning system and crisis protocol. Create feedback loops on 3 channels. Private. Invite a small group of trusted community members to review drafts, especially sensitive pieces. Ask them, what could be misunderstood, and who might feel harmed? Public. Monitor comments, stitches, duets, quote posts, and remixes for sentiment and recurring questions. Use keyword filters and alerts to catch emerging issues. Partner. Maintain contacts at platforms and sponsors. If problems arise, you need direct lines to appeal or clarify. When controversy hits, speed, tone, and transparency matter more than perfection. Use a 5-step crisis protocol. Pause. Halt scheduled posts and paid amplification. Update your team and partners that you are in triage. Gather, collect facts. What was said? What is being interpreted? Where is the issue spreading? Capture screenshots and posts so you have an accurate record. Clarify. Draft a clear message that states intent, acknowledges impact, and lists corrective actions. Avoid defensiveness. If you made a mistake, say it plainly. Follow up. Reopen distribution when the issue stabilizes. Track sentiment over the next week. Document learnings for your pre-flight checklist. Correct. Update or remove the content. Add clarifying captions or notes. Pin a comment that links to your statement. If you used inaccurate data, correct it in every channel where it appears. Finally, well-being is a strategic advantage. Consistency without recovery leads to quality decline. Use cadence planning to protect energy. Set guardrails for volume, theme complexity, and response windows. Create buffers in your calendar. Include recovery cycles after big launches. Decide in advance which metrics you will track daily, weekly, and monthly so you do not chase every spike emotionally. Implementation strategy. Install the SAFE framework into your production flow with a checklist, a calendar, and ownership. Create a pre-flight checklist. Turn the safety, accuracy, and fairness lenses into questions. Print it or store it in your project management tool. Require a check before scheduling. Define roles. Assign one person to run the checklist, another to validate claims, and a third to review tone. If you are solo, run the checklist once, then again after a short break, to catch bias. Build a sources library. Create a document with primary sources, frequently used statistics, and legal guidelines for your region. Keep links handy so you can cite quickly. Add disclosures to templates. Include sponsor and affiliate disclosures in caption templates. Create a standard line for remixes that credits the original. This reduces errors under pressure. Set privacy defaults. Blur faces by default unless you have explicit consent. Use initials instead of names for user stories. Keep raw files in secure folders with restricted access. Establish feedback loops. Recruit a reviewer circle of 5 to 10 community members. Schedule regular draft reviews for sensitive topics. Create a form for public feedback that routes to your inbox. Draft a crisis protocol. Write your pause, gather, clarify, correct, and follow-up plan. Document contacts for platform support and sponsors. Place this in your team workspace or a pinned note. Plan cadence and recovery. Decide your weekly output target and the maximum complexity of any single piece. Add buffer days after major launches. Set a firm window for audience engagement each day so you do not spiral into constant monitoring. Real-world application. Consider a fitness creator who posted a 7-day challenge with a dramatic hook. The before and after screenshots were motivating, but comments revealed that some participants felt pressured to overtrain. The creator ran the pre-flight checklist retroactively and added a safety note to the challenge outlining rest days and hydration guidelines. They pinned a comment clarifying intent, updated the thumbnail text to avoid extremes, and received positive feedback. The challenge continued to spread, and trust increased because the correction was fast and considerate. A software educator remixed a popular tutorial. They credited the original video in the first line of the caption, added a link to the source repository, and transformed the content by showing a different use case. They also included an affiliate link to a paid tool with a clear disclosure next to the link. When a viewer reported a bug, the educator paused promotion, added a note explaining the fix, and thanked the viewer publicly. The post sustained reach, and sponsors appreciated the transparent handling. A coaching brand shared client wins with specific revenue numbers. A follower flagged privacy concerns. The brand had consent, but realized the caption exposed more detail than needed. They edited the post to use ranges instead of exact numbers, clarified consent in a pinned comment, and updated their privacy defaults to use initials and ranges going forward. The outcome was neutral on reach and positive on trust. Future testimonials were easier to share because the process was clear. Common pitfalls. Treating disclosures as an afterthought, which erodes trust and triggers platform penalties. Using sensational hooks without adding nuance, which invites misinterpretation and backlash. Ignoring privacy until a complaint forces a reactive change, which damages relationships. relying on gut for risk assessment rather than a repeatable checklist that catches blind spots. Escalating with defensiveness or silence during a controversy, which increases anger and spreads misinformation. Overcommitting to production volume without recovery cycles, which leads to burnout and declining quality. Key takeaways. Reputation is an asset that compounds. Shortcuts that harm trust reduce your future reach. Pre-flight reviews catch avoidable mistakes before they go public. Clear attribution and disclosures protect platform privileges and partner relationships. Crisis outcomes are shaped by speed, tone, and transparency more than perfect phrasing. Feedback loops are early warning systems for risk and for content market fit. Sustainable cadence and boundaries protect your energy and improve consistency. Action items build and adopt a safe checklist for every post or launch this week. Audit your last 10 posts for disclosures, attribution, privacy, and tone. Fix gaps today. Create a sources document with links to your most used statistics and guidelines. Draft a crisis protocol and store it where your team can access it instantly. Recruit a reviewer circle and schedule a draft session for your next sensitive piece. Update caption templates with standard attribution and disclosure lines. Plan your next month of cadence with buffer weeks and recovery cycles. Set a daily engagement window and stick to it to protect focus and mental health. Chapter conclusion: virality is a mirror and a magnifier. It reflects your intent, tone, and systems, then multiplies them. With SAFE in place, you move fast without breaking trust. You catch claims that need nuance, credit the creators who inspired you, disclose affiliations without confusion, and respond to controversy with clarity and care. You also protect yourself with a cadence that sustains creativity rather than drains it. The work in Spike to Sustain gave you engines to compound attention. The safeguards her protect those engines and the relationships that power them. In the next chapter, we will build on these guardrails to formalize your operating system, how you coordinate creative teams, tools, and rituals so that your viral hits turn into a reliable body of work that grows without unnecessary risk. Conclusion: standing at the threshold. You have walked a demanding path, and you did not turn away when the work got real. You studied why people share ideas, how attention is captured, and how distribution multiplies impact. You practiced experiments that reveal what works faster than guesswork ever could. You built loops that amplify outcomes, and you put safeguards in place that protect trust and reputation. Most importantly, you turned intention into a system that can carry you beyond a single lucky post and towards sustained influence. That is the difference between chasing virality and creating it with integrity. Take a moment to feel the ground beneath your feet. You are no longer hoping for a break. You have learned what makes people care, how to show up in the right places, and how to move from spikes of attention to a predictable rhythm of growth. You have the tools that creators, founders, and mission-driven leaders use to transform ideas into movements. You now understand how to make your audience look good, feel something, and do something, and you can do it without compromising values or burning out. The journey here was not about shortcuts. It was about learning to think and grow viral with skill, purpose, and care. How you have changed. In the beginning, you might have believed that virality was mystery or luck, a storm you waited to be caught in. Now you know it is a structure that you can design, measure, and improve. You learned that people share as an extension of their identity, and that social currency is earned when your content makes them feel informed, insightful, or kind. You saw how high arousal emotions, like a we, anger, anxiety, or amusement, can nudge someone from passive consumption into active propagation, especially when the message aligns with who they are and what they stand for. You moved beyond ideas and into architecture. You learned to craft hooks that capture attention in the first moments and story arcs that deliver a credible payoff. You built an angle bank so you can pivot positioning quickly and discover the version of an idea that truly resonates. You shifted from linear thinking to loops. You learned to influence your K-factor because you now understand that invitations per user and acceptance rate can be engineered. You saw how friction, clarity, and timing at the moment of sharing often decides whether your work climbs or stalls. You also became platform fluent. You learned what different environments reward, how watch time and completion interact with saves and shares, and how packaging changes the initial lift. You adopted a test culture. You ran weekly sprints. You shipped minimum remarkable prototypes that let you validate hooks and headlines without overcommitting. You brought discipline to creativity. Most of all, you internalized an ethical posture. Your loops are built for mutual value, your content is designed to help, and your reputation is treated as a growth asset, not a disposable fuel source. The systems you now command across the chapters, you assembled a toolkit you can rely on in any niche or campaign. You can diagnose the psychological drivers most relevant to your audience, then design messages that align with identity, emotion, and practical value. You can structure content around a minimum remarkable premise, and you know how to validate that premise before you spend energy on full production. Your angle bank allows you to iterate positioning faster than you produce assets, which multiplies your chances of finding a narrative that clicks. You can score your work with a shareability checklist, so you are not guessing whether a piece will travel. You know how to quantify your K-factor and how to raise invitations per viewer with short asks that feel natural. You can reduce friction at the share moment with clarity, right time calls to share, and cues that match the audience's day-to-day triggers. You know the difference between funnels and loops, and why loops compound in ways that funnels never can. You understand platform dynamics. You can match titles, thumbnails, and hooks to the signals each platform amplifies. You can craft title and thumbnail harmony that tells a two-beat story and earns the click honestly. You can orchestrate a 72-hour launch sequence that stacks momentum, and you can atomize a flagship piece into derivatives that feel native everywhere you publish. You know how to activate earned distribution through partners and community, and how to use owned channels like email and a private hub to create resilience. You have learned how to turn spikes into steady, compounding growth. You can capture attention with subscriber prompts and lead magnets that align with the viral promise. You can onboard new audience members into habits that encourage return visits. You can build evergreen libraries and series that create reliable return paths. You can set up a community flywheel where replies and remixes generate ongoing distribution. You can design content to product pathways that monetize ethically, mapping clear value ladders without eroding trust. Finally, you can protect the whole system. You can run pre-flight risk assessments. You can stress test hooks for unintended harm. You can manage attribution and disclosure properly. You can pause distribution and respond with clarity if controversy arises. You can set boundaries and cadences that protect your well-being, so the quality of your craft stays high over time. The path from insight to implementation. Knowledge becomes power only when it is used. To turn everything you have learned into results, move through this practical sequence and repeat it until your skills and systems feel second nature. Define one audience outcome. Choose a specific outcome your next piece will help someone achieve. Write it in a single sentence, then use it to guide concept, hook, and payoff. Build 3 angles in your angle bank. Create 3 distinct ways to position the same outcome. Balance novelty and relatability. Keep each angle crisp and testable. Craft minimum remarkable prototypes. For each angle, write a hook, a headline, and a simple outline for the story arc. Compose a thumbnail concept that visually delivers emotional evidence. Pre-validate quickly. Share your MRPs with a small sample. Use microsignals like first 3 seconds hold, comment themes, and clarity of takeaway. Pick the leading angle based on observed resonance. Design the loop. Decide the short ask that will move people from viewing to sharing or reply. Map the moments where friction might show up, then add clarity and helpful cues. Package natively. Select your target platform. Tailor titles, thumbnails, and opening beats to match native signals. Write a first comment or pin a comment that reiterates the value and the ask. Orchestrate a 72-hour launch. Sequence distribution. Publish the flagship. Deploy derivatives on secondary platforms. Alert your owned channels. Seed community conversations, and activate partner mentions. Measure early and mid signals. Track early watch metrics, saves to shares ratio, and replies that spawn threads. Observe what helps and what stalls. Capture insights in your dashboard. Iterate before the window closes. Ship a quick variant that adjusts the hook or packaging based on early data. Improve clarity, specificity, or visual contrast where drop-offs appear. Capture and onboard. Convert peak attention into subscribers or email signups using prompts that match the promise. Deliver an onboarding message that makes the next step obvious. Relaunch a winner. If a piece performs, refresh metadata, add value, and reposition with a seasonal angle. Reshare in your community hub and extend the loop. Conduct a weekly retrospective. Document learnings, update the angle bank, refine templates, and decide what to test next. Keep the rhythm steady and the focus narrow. This sequence will feel simple by design. Consistency creates compounding advantages. You are not trying to be perfect. You are trying to build a learning machine that moves from idea to insight to improved output again and again with less waste and more momentum. Meeting obstacles with strength. No path that matters is free of resistance. You will face slow weeks, algorithm shifts, and creative fatigue. Expect them. Plan for them. When early signals dip, return to fundamentals. Re-examine the premise and ask whether the payoff is clear. If your hook opens with cleverness but not clarity, convert cleverness into a promise that the audience can grasp instantly. If your thumbnail feels vague, replace it with a bold visual that conveys stakes or contrast without words. When platform dynamics change, observe before you react. Watch what is being rewarded. Adjust packaging and posting cadence to match new signals while keeping your core message and ethics intact. If a piece sparks controversy, pause distribution, clarify intent, and listen. Respond with humility and specificity. Restate your standards on attribution, disclosure, and privacy. Your audience will forgive mistakes when your response is quick, transparent, and aligned with your values. If you feel creative fatigue, shorten the loop. Produce smaller MRPs. Test more angles with less production overhead, and let data guide your next bigger bet. Protect your well-being with boundaries around time and output. Use collaboration and community replies to share the creative load. Sustained growth is a marathon. You are building capacity, not chasing a sprint finish. Stories of momentum in action. Imagine an educator who focuses on practical study tactics for busy adults. She builds 3 angles around the outcome of finishing a course on time. One angle promises a 5-minute planning ritual, another reframes procrastination as energy mapping, and a third offers a checklist for first-week momentum. After pre-validation, she picks the planning ritual angle. She designs a loop with a short ask to share her checklist with a friend who is starting a course. She packages natively on a short video platform with a clear hook and a thumbnail image of a calendar marked with a victory day. Her 72-hour launch includes a newsletter prompt that invites replies with personal study wins. Replies become content for the next piece, and her community flywheel begins to spin. Consider a local cafe owner who wants to grow foot traffic and loyalty. He positions the outcome as helping people discover their new favorite morning ritual. He builds angles around a behind-the-scenes story, a taste test with regulars, and a practical guide to quick pre-work breakfast. He pre-validates with MRPs posted to a neighborhood group, watches comments for resonance, then chooses the regulars' taste test angle. The loop invites viewers to tag a friend who loves trying new coffee. He packages with a thumbnail that shows 2 mugs clinking, and he orchestrates a launch that includes a partner mention from a nearby bookstore. Spike becomes sustained when he adds a weekly ritual series and captures subscribers with a community discount that matches the promise. Picture a mission-driven nonprofit focused on outdoor conservation. The outcome is making it easy for supporters to take a small action that has visible impact. Angles include a 2-item cleanup checklist, a story of a volunteer who started with 10 minutes a week, and a visual time-lapse of a trail before and after community effort. After pre-validation, they choose the volunteer story. The loop invites viewers to reply with their first small action. Distribution includes coordination with local partners who quote and amplify the message. Capture and onboarding invites supporters into a monthly micro-action plan. The community flywheel ignites as replies become showcases, and the organization builds steady momentum on the foundation of simple, credible actions. What to do before this day ends. Momentum is a choice. Build it now while the concepts are fresh and your motivation is high. Commit to small, decisive moves that kickstart your next cycle. Write a one-sentence outcome. State the precise change you will help your audience achieve in your next piece. Draft 3 angles. Create 3 distinct positions that frame the outcome with clarity and curiosity. Keep each angle to 2 lines. Build 1 prototype. Choose 1 angle and craft a hook, headline, and thumbnail concept. Keep production lean. Pre-validate with 10 people. Share your prototype with a small sample and ask 2 questions. What stood out? What would make this clearer? Plan a loop. Decide the short ask that connects your audience to someone else or to a simple next action. Write it verbatim. Choose 1 platform. Align packaging to the signals that platform rewards. Prepare the opening line and the first comment. Set a launch window. Block a 72-hour period for distribution steps. List channels, partners, and owned assets you will activate. Define success signals. Decide which early metrics you will track. Prioritize first moments hold, saves, and replies. Prepare a capture moment. Add a subscriber or sign-up prompt that matches the promise. Write a welcome message that points to the next step. Book a retrospective. Put a 30-minute session on your calendar for the end of the week to reflect, document learnings, and choose the next test. You do not need a perfect plan to start. You need a rhythm that turns ideas into experiments, then into learnings, then into better ideas. Begin with 1 cycle. Repeat it. Let the compounding effect of consistent craft and ethical intent carry you forward. A final word. The promise of thinking and growing viral is not fame for its own sake. It is the ability to move ideas through networks so they reach the people who need them at the moment they are ready to receive them. It is the power to convert flashes of attention into lasting relationships and into a body of work that matters. You now have the psychology, the creative architecture, the mechanics, the platform fluency, the experimentation culture, the packaging finesse, the distribution playbook, the sustain systems, and the ethical guardrails to do it with honor. Trust the process you have built. When a piece lands, celebrate and learn. When a piece misses, learn even more. Resist the urge to chase noise. Choose outcomes that help people, tell stories that earn emotion, design loops that respect consent, and protect your reputation like the foundation it is. Share generously. Credit properly. Ask humbly. When you act with integrity, audiences will carry your work because it helps them carry their own. The path ahead is not guaranteed to be smooth, but it is yours. You do not have to wait for someone to pick you. You can pick yourself. You can design your own distribution, and you can build a community that grows because it is valuable to the people in it. Start today. Keep going tomorrow. Rest when needed. Return with clarity. The next post is not just a post. It is another step in a journey that compounds for years. Make ideas that make people proud to share. Make content that makes people feel seen. Make work that makes a difference. Then let the loops carry it farther than you can reach by yourself. The moment you choose action, momentum begins. The moment you choose integrity, trust grows. The moment you choose consistency, growth becomes inevitable. Go create the spark, then build the fire that sustains it.